Chapter 2003. Chen Zhao lifted Fisky and removed his limbs. Ignoring his pleas, he threw him back into the elevator shaft, which was filled with hot flames. The ground was collapsing. There were simply too many bombs in the underground base. Moreover, many bombs weren't installed on the main body of the building. Instead, they were installed in the soil or rock layers. The goal was to completely destroy the structure of the ground. There were also a dozen super bombs. The kind that injured Chen Zhao last time. If these super bombs exploded on the ground, they could flatten buildings within a kilometer radius and vaporize all living things within the range. Not even ashes would be left. If they exploded underground, they could completely destroy the structure of the rock layers. Chen Zhao took out his phone and called Demi. "It's over, but none of your people survived." Demi was silent for a long time. "You didn't save them. This is not a playground, it's a battlefield. The monsters here are stronger than I imagined. Even I was lucky enough to find the self-destruct device of Sala's laboratory, and it's the super bomb from last time. Otherwise, I'm afraid even I wouldn't have survived." Demi felt that it was a pity. It would be perfect if Chen Zhao died in there too. Thinking about it, Chen Zhao was really lucky. Last time on the artificial island under the Lake Pontchartrain Bridge, Chen Zhao had dodged it. This time, Chen Zhao dodged it again. To be honest, I'm curious. Doesn't the military need research materials? After all, the monsters created by the people in this lab are quite powerful. Do you think the military doesn't have such research? Whatever. It's better not to tell me about military secrets. I don't want to be killed. When Chen Zhao returned to the hotel, it was already past 1 in the morning. "Hey, Portia. Boss, if you don't have a valid reason, I'll see you for workplace harassment. Book me a ticket back to LA tomorrow." "The earlier, the better," Chen Zhao said. "Also, if you want to sue me, you better ask my lawyer. You know him anyway." Portia was furious, but she couldn't do anything to Chen Zhao. She could only book a ticket for him obediently. Yawning, Chen Zhao dragged his luggage to the airport. He didn't know if Portia was taking revenge on him. The flight she booked for Chen Zhao was at 7:30 in the morning. As a result, Chen Zhao had to leave at 5 in the morning and rush to the airport. Of course, the reason given by Portia was also quite sufficient. This was the only flight with first-class seats. Chen Zhao entered the VIP lounge and started to make up for it. He also instructed the staff in the departure lounge to call him at 7 o'clock. Chen Zhao collapsed on the sofa and dozed off. After sleeping for who knew how long, someone patted his shoulder. Chen Zhao thought it was time, but when he opened his eyes, he saw that it was Zhang Yi. "Mr. Chen, are you coming back too?" Zhang Yi didn't expect to see him at the airport. "Oh, it's you, Miss Zhang." Chen Zhao rubbed his eyes. "I'm not going back. I'm going to Los Angeles. The City of Angels. Is that the next stop of your trip?" "No, I live in Los Angeles. If you have time, you can come to Los Angeles. I'll be a good host." Tilting her head, Zhang Yi blurted out, "Banana people." Chen Zhao's face twitched. "Miss Zhang, even if I'm really a pervert, you shouldn't call me that in front of me. It's about a person's manners." Zhang Yi was a straightforward person. She said whatever was on her mind. To put it nicely, she was honest, but to put it bluntly, she was one-track minded. She didn't have any bad intentions. But it did make Chen Zhao uncomfortable. After all, no one in China liked that word. "Okay, I apologize. It's not sincere, but I'll still accept it." Chen Zhao looked at Zhang Yi's clothes and then at the elite woman standing behind her. Also, this was the VIP lounge. Chen Zhao didn't believe that Zhang Yi could get in with her part-time job. Hi, I'm Chen Zhao. How should I address you? Chen Zhao reached out his hand to the elite woman behind Zhang Yi. Li Youjia. Li Youjia shook hands with Chen Zhao politely. Li Youjia had been observing Chen Zhao. Looks, height, clothes, and manners were all above average. This man's scores were all above average. Just then, the announcement for boarding the flight to Los Angeles sounded. Sorry, my flight has arrived. I'm boarding now. See you again if fate allows it. Sis, what do you think of him? Zhang Yi asked after Chen Zhao had left. Not bad. You have good taste, Li Youjia said. What does he do? I don't know the details. He said that he was a medical student and then started a small business. He probably has some money. From what he's wearing, it should be around $50,000. I don't see any brands on him. He doesn't even wear a watch. I don't know anything else, but his jacket has the Baroness logo on it. It's a top brand in America. Also, the jacket should be a custom-made model. It's at least $20,000 or $30,000. The 2 suitcases he's carrying are also the Baroness limited edition. I've never heard of the Baroness. Is it a big brand? You just need to know that when Hollywood stars attend various events, at least 30% of the gowns are from the Baroness. Because the Baroness market is mainly in the US, very few people overseas know about it. When I went to the US last year, I saw the Baroness Autumn show. One set of clothes is so expensive. He's probably a prodigal. Also, the 2 suitcases are limited edition. Does he have too much money and nowhere to spend it? Just because he rejected you, you're hating him because of your love, isn't that right? This isn't a TV show. I just don't like it. But that guy is indeed a good man. You should really consider him. He said that he already has a few kids. He's definitely lying. I don't see any ring on his ring finger. There's no sign of it either. Regardless, I won't do anything for a man who rejected me. I'm not that cheap. Are you ready to inherit the family business? If I say I'm not ready, will my dad let me go? No. That's why I plan to make him lose a lot of money. Then he'll know that I'm not cut out for it. Then, my brother can inherit the business. How old is your brother? Are you sure he can wait that long? I have to. I know I'm not cut out for it. If he really can't wait, he can just find a trust fund. Chapter 2004. When Chen Zhao arrived at LAX, it was only 9 in the morning. Today, it wasn't Fei Lai, Portia, or Refra who came to pick him up. It was Demi. Not long ago, the 2 of them were sworn enemies. Chen Zhao never thought that this woman would come to pick him up. Of course, it was more like a meeting than a meeting. Demi sat in Chen Zhao's car. Chen, I hope you can keep your promise. This is a check for $10 million. It's from my account. Don't worry. Chen Zhao handed the check to Demi. No, I hope you could transfer the money to the loan sharks. It's money my father owes to Saint and Finance Company. Is there a problem? Saint and Finance Company. I don't think you need to return the money. Why? Their company has already been dissolved. That's impossible. I've investigated their company. Their background is very complicated. Also, their boss's family has a lot of influence in politics and the underworld. I chased their boss away. He's probably hiding in some sewer now. You? Why did you do this to them? Do you have a grudge against them? Not really, but it's not pleasant. Then he wanted to kill me, so I fought back. I didn't kill him, but as long as I'm here, he won't dare to come back. Are you sure? I'm very sure, Chen Zhao said, nodding. Demi stared at Chen Zhao in shock. Chen Zhao's power seemed to be greater than she'd imagined. You can decide what to do with this check, Chen Zhao said. If you want to return the money for your father, then do it. I won't ask about other uses. Anyway, it's yours. Demi put the check away. Even she couldn't reject such a huge sum. Of course, if she accepted the check, it meant that she would no longer be able to clear her grudge with Chen Zhao. Tell me what happened this time. Do I have to tell you about the conflict with Ham? I heard that Ham and his men were found by the Mexican police 2 days ago. They were buried in the desert and exposed to the sun for half a day. Demi stared at Chen Zhao. Other than Chen Zhao, she couldn't think of anyone who would or could do something like this. In the end, the police only found him after receiving an anonymous call. I'm not interested in your grudges. I want to know what happened in Sarah's lab. The process wasn't too complicated. Ham's team and I separated when we entered Sala's laboratory. Then, I released a large number of failed test subjects and created chaos in Sala's laboratory. However, Sala's laboratory's defense is very strong. If I hadn't found the self-destruct button in the end, I'm afraid this operation would have ended in failure. Didn't the people in Sarah's lab use the anesthetic fog? Of course it's not a problem in an open space, but the structure of the underground laboratory has no ventilation. Once they use that kind of mist, it will bring more trouble to themselves, so it's understandable that they didn't choose to use it. The mist also contained the evolution spores, and the researchers were well aware of how dangerous the evolution spores were. Once the fog was used, it was very likely that the entire experimental base would be contaminated. How did Ham die in the end? He died a heroic death, Chen Zhao said. He self-destructed to kill the enemy. There was only relief on Demi's face. There was no regret or pity. To her, Ham's death was already the best news. But the operation wasn't perfect either. Her original plan was to leave a few soldiers alive. But in the end, not a single one survived. Now, she had to worry about how to write the operation report. It was like the police had a shooting report. The military also had similar requirements. Every military operation required a report. Usually, it was written by the people and soldiers who participated in the operation. If all the participants died, then the superior military personnel in Gili would be responsible for writing the report. This kind of report without witnesses or material evidence was very troublesome. If it wasn't written well, they might even be court-martialed. Of course, this had nothing to do with Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao drove Demi to the city and left. They'd just finished a deal, so he had to maintain a certain distance. When Chen Zhao returned to Moon Villa, Portia and Zephyra came out to welcome him. "Boss, you're back." "Humph." Chen Zhao turned his head and ignored Portia. Portia was very embarrassed. She knew that she hadn't done well. There were tickets for other times, but she'd chosen the earliest one. "Boss, don't be angry. I was saving you money. That time is the cheapest. See, you saved more than $100. I don't need that $100. Zephyra, distribute the gifts I brought back to the children." "Oh, I brought you a bunch of Mexican fire opals." Opals were also called opals because they were a strange material formed after precipitation and compression of minerals. When light shone on them, it would diffract and refract colors because of the minerals. They had the flames of ruby, the blue of sapphire, the mysteriousness of amethyst, and the vitality of emerald. Currently, the main production countries were Mexico and Australia. They were famous for their colorful colors. In Europe, opals were stars struck by lightning. In Mexico, opals symbolized hope. The Mexican fire opals Chen Zhao bought for Zephyr were both expensive and cheap. At least, Chen Zhao felt that $8,000 was not expensive. Zephyr was indifferent, but Portia snatched the fire opal from Zephyr's hands. Her eyes sparkled. It's so beautiful. The fire opal was mainly dark red with rainbow colors brewing in the pearlescent light. The color was mesmerizing. Portia turned to Chen Zhao. Boss, where's mine? What? A gift. What gift? Zephyr has a gift. I should have one too. Gifts are for the sake of the heart. What about your heart? Chen Zhao took out a bottle from his suitcase. Portia took it. It was a transparent bottle. Then she saw nothing. What? That's my heart. But there's nothing in it. No, I've filled it with the air of Nikali. Although you can't go to Nikali, you can feel the air of Nikali. Won't you feel much better now? Ha! Portia gritted her teeth at Chen Zhao. Chapter 2005. Chen Zhao's gifts for the children were much more ordinary. It was mainly because he didn't know what to give. So, it was either handicrafts or toys. Of course, a girl's gift was naturally more precious and thoughtful than a boy's. Chen Zhao had a serious tendency to value girls over boys. He even prepared a gift for Xianli in Europe. Boss, you must love me, right? You must have prepared a gift for me. Only Portia didn't get a gift. She was very upset. It was just a small prank. Why couldn't she get a gift? Portia, don't be dissatisfied. That bottle of air from Mercicali is the most thoughtful gift in my life. It's an honor that even my family doesn't have. I don't want air. I want a gift. Okay. Your gift is still in the trunk of my car. Take it yourself. Portia happily ran to get it. But when she got it, Portia was angry again. What's this? Is this a suit? Portia couldn't understand it. It was a one-piece suit. It looked like it was for sports. Chen Zhao glanced at Portia. It's called Shortcut to Heaven. What do you mean? Portia was confused. Afra glanced at the suit in Portia's hands. It's a flying squirrel suit. It's also called a glider suit. It's a body gliding suit in extreme sports. Boss, why did you give me this? I don't do body gliding, Portia said in disdain. Wow, Dad, I want it too. I want to fly too. Jerlin saw Portia's glider suit. Not only her, but the other children were also excited. They didn't know what fear was at all. Compared to the gifts Chen Zhao had chosen for them, they preferred thrilling things like this. Look, the children all like it. Why don't you like it? Since he'd already chosen the gift, Chen Zhao wouldn't return it. No matter how much Portia disliked it, Chen Zhao wouldn't change his mind. Portia wanted to cry. She didn't even dare to play with it. What was the use of it? During this time, the White Elves seemed to have disappeared without a trace. As the leader of the White Elves, Pool was even more low-key. He had never shown himself in front of anyone. During this time, Pool was under a lot of pressure. This was because they had failed to defend against the Dark Elves led by Lila Gavich. As a result, Lila Gavich entered the secret cave and obtained Armandator's blood. In a short period of time, he had become a great elf. And according to the reports of the informants hidden among the Dark Elves, Lila Gavich had fulfilled many of the requirements to become an elven envoy. Now, Lila Gavich had a good chance of becoming the first elven messenger in centuries. The elf envoy was not the elf king, so he did not have the right to restrict and command the White Elves. But the symbolism of the elves was very great. Furthermore, elven envoys had many unique spells, two of which were Elemental Pardon and Nature's Glory. Mastering Elemental Pardon meant that directional elemental attacks were practically useless against him. Nature's Brilliance was even more frightening. As long as it was in a forest or there were plants around it, the spirit envoy would be invincible. The fairy envoys could receive an endless supply of gifts from nature. Even in a steel jungle, it was impossible to not find any plants. Although they were far less powerful than in a real forest, they were still difficult to defeat. This was definitely not good news for the White Elves and Mazeland Pool. The White Elves and the Dark Elves had been fighting for thousands of years. Although there was no real full-scale war, that was because both sides were about the same in strength. No one wanted both sides to suffer losses. And in the thousands of years of confrontation, the White Elves had always been slightly ahead of the Dark Elves. But once a great elf and elf envoy appeared among the Dark Elves, the situation would completely change. No one could guarantee that the balance would be maintained when an elf envoy appeared among the Dark Elves. A great elf already had the effect of suppressing and encouraging the lower elves. With the addition of the title of Elf Envoy, the White Elves would have no chance of winning. Now there were only two solutions. One was, of course, to kill Lila Gavich before he passed the test of nature. But now, Lila Gavich was hiding in a place where even his clansmen could not find him. It was almost impossible to find him. Lila Gavich had always been known for his cunning. In the past few decades, Mazeland Pool and Lila Gavich had also been fighting for decades. Lila Gavich might not be the most outstanding clan leader in the history of the Dark Elves. But he was definitely the most cunning clan leader. When he did not even tell his own clansmen where he was hiding, it meant that he was fully prepared. Others would not be able to find his hiding place. Moreover, he could really hide in the deep mountains and forests for a month or two. After all, he was an elf who was close to nature. And the White Elf spies among the Dark Elves could not get through to Lila Gavich. So the first solution obviously would not work. The people Mazeland Pool sent to search for Lila Gavich also had no clues. So now, Mazeland Pool had to choose another solution. Undine, from today onwards, you will be the clan leader of the White Elves, Mazeland Pool said. Pool, you should know my relationship with Lila Gavich. Are you really going to give me the position of clan leader? Undine was telling the truth. Even Bao, and Bader were Lila Gavich's children. Moreover, Undine had never hidden the origins of the two children, and many people in the clan knew about it. Although the two clans hated each other, there was no melodramatic story like Romeo and Juliet. They had separated purely because of their relationship. But Undine still did not think that she would be a good clan leader. Undine's expression was serious. Mazeland Pool's expression became even more serious. I will only say it once. It will be the only time it will work, Mazeland Pool said. Pool, what are you going to do? Stop Lila Gavich from becoming the elf messenger. You can't even find him. How are you going to stop him? I don't need to find him. I already thought of another way, Mazeland Pool said calmly. Undine took a deep breath and stared at Mazeland Pool. She could vaguely guess what Mazeland Pool was going to do. Don't say it even if you guessed it. Words have power. 9 Heavens God Emperor. Chapter 2006. Some cultures were interconnected. For example, reincarnation. Western and Chinese civilizations both believed in reincarnation. Another example was the power of language. In the East, there was a saying that a word could become a prophecy. In the West, there was also a culture of words. Some words would come true when spoken. If these words were spoken by a normal person, perhaps nothing would happen. Because the power of magic first needed belief. Only with belief could one have this power. But in the spiritual world, the possibility of something happening or coming true when spoken was very high. So in the spiritual world, some words could not be spoken casually. However, Undine, who had guessed Mysland's intentions, felt terrible. "You're crazy. Do you know the consequences of this?" "I know." Mysland raised his right arm. Undine saw that Mysland's wrist had been cut open. What flowed out wasn't red blood, but black blood. "Help me take care of my people. I'm not a qualified leader, but I hope to use my last bit of strength to protect them." Mysilon Pulu used a calm tone to speak resolutely. Mysland's arm began to corrode. It disintegrated and collapsed like black sand. This disintegration and collapse continued to spread upwards, then his body, his neck, and finally his entire body. Mysland ignored the abnormality of his body and walked towards Undine step by step. He tapped a finger on Undine's forehead. A white rune appeared on Undine's forehead. Undine wanted to stop him, but it was too late. Mysilon Pulu didn't discuss this with him at all. He killed himself, and he didn't return to nature. He fell into hell. In the end, Mysilon Pulu turned into a pile of black sand and completely disappeared from this world. "As the leader of the White Elves, I pardon your great sin. I hope your soul can return to nature," Undine said calmly. She didn't seem to have much emotion in her tone. She didn't agree with Mysland's actions. But it was meaningless to question or criticize Mysland now. Mysland was already dead. As for whether he succeeded or not, he would have to wait until that day to find out. Somewhere deep in the mountains, Lila Gavik suddenly shivered. "Fuck, what's with this feeling?" As Methlon Pryor had guessed, Lila Gavik had gone into hiding as a savage in the deep woods. This caused him to lose at least 10 kilograms of weight from his original weight of 100 kilograms. He couldn't even eat breakfast, even though he had prepared a lot of food. However, many foods required further processing. Even making coffee required a pot of boiling water. Is it some kind of bad warning? Lila Gavik was a little worried. Logically speaking, no one should be able to discover him here. He had gone to great lengths to hide here. Everything was arranged and prepared by him. He decided not to contact anyone until the test of nature arrived. He would only contact Chen Zhao on that day. This would also ensure the greatest degree of safety. However, the sudden chill made Lila Gavik vaguely sense something. He did not understand where this sense of danger was coming from. He didn't know what went wrong with him. Right now, he didn't dare to contact anyone, let alone ask for information. After all, whatever he did now was risky. The best choice was to do nothing. No matter how he thought about it, Lila Gavik still felt uneasy. He didn't trust his own people now because he knew that there were White Elf spies among them. Just like how there were White Elf spies among the White Elves. So, he decided to find Chen Zhao. As long as Chen Zhao didn't change his mind, he would be fine. Chen Zhao was his greatest trump card and also his greatest guarantee. "Hello, Mr. Chen, it's me. Are you going to give birth?" Chen Zhao teased. "I'm not going to give birth. I'm going through a tribulation." "Okay, where are you now?" "I'll go over now." "No, I'm not going to give birth now." "No, I'm not going through a tribulation now either." "Then why did you call me? Are you asking about me?" "I suddenly had a bad feeling just now, as if something had happened, so I wanted to ask Mr. Chin if you've changed your mind." "No, I won't change my mind," Chen Zhao said. "What if the White Elves give you an offer you can't refuse? I'll finish what I promised you first and then kill you. Mr. Chin, no matter what they offer, I'll pay double after it's done." "Okay, I'll tell the White Elves what you said." Tell them for what? They'll definitely offer a higher price and you'll have to pay double. Mr. Chin, this joke isn't funny. Okay, I don't want to waste time with you. I'm helping you this time because I owe you. Whether it's you or the white elves, there's nothing worth thinking about. That's all. Chen Zhao more or less knew about Lila Gavik's businesses. Although they were quite profitable, they were all industries with a certain degree of pollution and danger. Chen Zhao really wasn't interested. He couldn't offer anything that interested him. After hanging up, Chen Zhao glanced at Fei Lai at the table. Fei Lai, it's late. Don't you have work today? I asked Robio for leave. Leave? Are you not feeling well? No, Fei Lai said. I'm going to Mirror Lake. The house is finished, but I haven't checked the feng shui yet. If I wait until the surrounding landscape is done, I won't be able to change the feng shui. If Fei Lai hadn't mentioned it, Chen Zhao would have thought that she'd forgotten about her identity as a feng shui master. Okay. Chen Zhao shrugged helplessly. A while later, Portia and Zephyra arrived too. After breakfast, everyone went straight to Mirror Lake. Fellwood, are you at the construction site now? I haven't gone yet. Mr. Chen, are you coming today? Yes, Fei Lai and I are going. You should come as soon as possible. What's the matter? Fei Lai has any requests for the villa surroundings later. Just listen and do as she says. Okay, I understand. Fellwood remembered that Fei Lai had also made her own requests when Mingyue Villa was completed last time. Chen Zhao had said the same thing. He just listened and didn't have to raise his professional concerns. He would do whatever Fei Lai asked. Chapter 2007. Fellwood Cisco arrived before Chen Zhao and Fei Lai. Morning, Miss Fei Lai. Morning, Mr. Fellwood, Fei Lai said. You talk to Chen Zhao. I'll walk around. Okay. Fei Lai wandered around the area by herself. She was becoming more and more like a charlatan. No, a feng shui master. First, she looked at the terrain, then the feng shui. Fei Lai ran to the top of the waterfall and looked from above. At the same time, she took out a notebook and made notes. I didn't realize before that Mirror Lake is a huge treasure bowl. In feng shui, living water was wealth and dead water was disaster. Falling water from the waterfall brought wealth and treasure. Then, it was released into the river, turning dead water into life. In the past, Chen Zhao had widened the river to allow boats to enter and leave Mirror Lake. It was originally an unintentional action, but because of this unintentional action, it became the finishing touch. Mirror Lake faced the sea. When the sun rose, the first wisp of purple qi would gather. The purple qi turned into all things and the water flowed east. Mirror Lake's feng shui was already the pinnacle of wealth and fortune. A natural treasure land was nothing special. Moreover, Chen Zhao didn't plan on participating in politics, so he didn't ask for purple qi to come from the east. This was Chen Zhao's fate. When he'd bought this land, he'd felt that it was fated. He'd never considered things like feng shui, but he didn't expect it to turn out like this. Fei Lai looked at the layout and direction of the villa. In the past, Fei Lai wouldn't have believed in such supernatural things. But ever since he met Chen Zhao, he learned many things about the spiritual world. She also understood that there were many things in this world that she couldn't understand with her previous worldview. This became her opportunity to learn feng shui. Fei Lai didn't know how much she'd learned. There were some things Fei Lai could see, and some things she couldn't. Nevertheless, this didn't stop her passion for feng shui. After 20 minutes, Fei Lai was almost done. He came to Chen Zhao and Fellwood's side. Mr. Fellwood, along the way to the garage, I hope to transplant 18 oak trees that are at least 50 years old. It would be best if they're more than 100 years old. Fellwood, find oak trees that are more than 100 years old, Chen Zhao said. Just report the cost to me afterward. Alright, no problem. 18 oak trees should be evenly distributed on both sides of the driveway. I understand. Fei Lai was very strict in this area. Even Chen Zhao had no right to object to her arrangements. Also, help me expand my vineyard a little more. Fei Lai listed a dozen more requests, and Fellwood had to jot them down in his notebook. Fei Lai, let's go inside and take a look. The interior has been renovated. Chen Zhao held Fei Lai's hand and walked into the mansion. Fei Lai, what do the 18 oak trees have to say? Remember what I said about oak trees? Fei Lai said. I remember. You said it before. Chen Zhao did remember Fei Lai saying it before. But Fei Lai had said too much, so Chen Zhao didn't remember it clearly. In ancient Huaxia, oak trees were the main beams of palaces. They had to be more than 100 years old to bear the weight of the main beam. The wood was sturdy and heavy. The big ones could be the main beam, while the small ones could be the firewood. The beam could bear the weight of the world and bear the weight of the world. The firewood could burn the light and illuminate the air. The oak tree was majestic and carried the weight of the pillar. Right. Chen Zhao patted his head to hide his awkwardness. Even though Fei Lai had said it again, Chen Zhao didn't remember it clearly. Fei Lai continued, there are 9 layers in the sky and 9 states on the earth. 18 is the number of the world, so the 18 oak trees are meant to carry the world. Do you want me to be the emperor? Fei Lai rolled her eyes. You don't have the image of a true dragon and you don't have the Ziwei in the sky. You can't be the emperor in this life. You're a greedy wolf and will always be a killer. The 18 oak trees are the backbone of your destiny. They can support the world and the 9 states. The oak trees also block the wind and rain, which means that you have to protect the family. This is too mysterious. My head is going to explode. You're a spiritualist, after all. Is it that hard to understand? Everyone has their own specialties. To put it nicely, you're a liberal arts student and I'm a science student. After walking around the mansion, Fellwood came to Chen Zhao and Fei Lai again. Mr. Chen, Miss Fei Lai, do you think there's anything you need to improve? It's great, Fei Lai said. I like it. If Fei Lai likes it, I like it too. When can we move in? Actually, we can already move in, but Miss Fei Lai's suggestion will take a few more days. After all, we need to find oak trees over 100 years old. Also, the government has rules that anything over 100 years old, whether it's an oak tree or not, needs to be approved. It also takes some time. I won't ask about that, Chen Zhao said. I believe you have the ability to solve it. Of course. The 100-year-old oak tree in Mingyue Villa was transported from the north. There are more oak trees in the north. Also, the local government there mostly relies on forest resources as taxes. As long as the price is high enough, they won't reject this business. Oak trees were America's national trees, but when it came to huge economic benefits, no matter what symbolism it had, it couldn't stop humans. Before December, the 2 of you and your families will be able to move in. Okay, we'll wait for the final inspection. Chen Zhao nodded. By the way, Fellwood, you've already started on Stephen's mansion, right? Yes, I've already started laying the foundation. How many people do you have in your company? Manpower isn't a problem. What about the private airport I mentioned to you last time? You still remember, right? I remember. Do you have enough people? I hope to start construction in the near future. How about this, Mr. Chin. I'll give you the design first and estimate the cost. At the same time, I'll hire more construction workers. That way, we won't waste any time. Sure. I hope the construction cost can be under $400 million. I don't need a big airport. It can only hold 2 or 3 small and medium-sized planes at most, so I don't need it to be as big as a civil airport. I understand. I'll take note. Also, don't forget about the location. Of course, I won't forget. Let's stop here for today. Also, I'll send you the rest of the payment for Mirror Lake Manor. Mr. Chin, you haven't finished the inspection yet. It's fine. We've worked together so many times. I believe you won't disappoint me. Chapter 2008. Chen, don't change the layout of Mirror Lake. Why is that? Mirror Lake is a cornucopia. I know. Our family's brewery uses water extracted from Mirror Lake. No, I mean the feng shui pattern of Mirror Lake is a natural cornucopia. Really? Chen Zhao was surprised too. To be honest, your luck is really good. Will the feng shui be changed by someone maliciously? Other than the gradual change of the landscape, feng shui has to be very obvious if someone wants to destroy it. We're not blind. How can we let someone destroy it? Fei Lai said. Oh, I might have found a way to go to Treasure Island, Chen Zhao said. Really? When are we going? We need to wait for the last storm of the year. However, he couldn't be completely sure right now. After all, the news came from Lila Gage. He also said that he would look for a witch who could pilot the ship. I wonder if he has found it yet. On the way, Chen Zhao received a call from Zhang Tianyi. Hey, Chen Zhao, are you home? I just arrived at my house and got out of the car. What are you doing? I've already sent the elemental fruit to Los Angeles. I'll have someone deliver it now. You didn't ask Yang Gua to deliver it, did you? He's from the Los Angeles resident office. Who else could it be? Don't play dumb, Chen Zhao yelled angrily. You know he's my informant now. Aren't you trying to expose him by asking him to give me something? You're trying to make my arrangements useless, aren't you? I don't trust anyone else to deliver such an expensive gift. Come on, send the things to my house the same way you sent them abroad. It was sent by Yang Gua's wife, Xiao Longnu. Are you sure you want his wife to send it to you? Does the outside world know about their relationship? The outside world doesn't know, but I don't think you should let his wife give you elemental fruits. Why? His wife is very beautiful. Are you afraid that I'll rape a commoner girl? Come to think of it, since she dared to call herself Xiao Longnu, she must have some talent. Chen Zhao was looking forward to it. Xiao Longnu, even though it was an imitation. But at the very least, he should have some standard. However, he hoped that Xiao Longnu would not become a steamed bun. She's a dragon. Zhang Tianyi said simply. Okay, I got it. Chen Zhao was helpless. If the legendary dragon maiden came to Mingyue Villa, he wouldn't be able to do anything. Seeing Chen Zhao casually display the dragon's head in the yard, Chen Zhao's eyes widened. Xiao Longnu would probably get mad at him too. At that time, if they were to fight, it would be embarrassing for everyone. After all, Chen Zhao had a good relationship with Dragon Tiger Mountain. Chen Zhao could not kill Xiao Longnu. But as long as they fought, it was inevitable that there would be some bumps. Didn't anyone else follow? No, it's more convenient for her to deliver it alone. If she brought a few disciples of Mount Longhu with her, even a blind person would know what kind of treasure it is. If it gets lost along the way, I don't think you'll let it go. Who dares to snatch something from Longhu Mountain? Furthermore, it's being escorted by a member of the dragon race. Chen Zhao didn't believe it. He had seen a few Dragon Tiger Mountain disciples before. The disciples from Mount Longhu were all dragons and phoenixes among men, possessing outstanding strength. They were no weaker than the members of the supernatural organization. Plus, there was a member of the dragon race. An adult dragon was about as strong as a Shangqing state cultivator. They might not be invincible, but they were at least rare. Chen Zhao didn't believe that someone would dare to rob such a group. Even Chen Zhao had to think about Dragon Tiger Mountain's reputation before doing anything. It's safe abroad, but there are too many masters in the spiritual world in the country. Even I can't say that I won't run into trouble when I go out. That's why I said you're not ruthless enough. Break the limbs of anyone who dares to rob. After a few times, the effect will definitely be great. That's easy for you to say. The forces in the spirit world in our country are very complicated. It's not something you can imagine. Any random youngster in the spirit world could be the last disciple of some expert. Our Mount Longhu has always been kind to others, and this old man has been doing good deeds all year round. How could I kill a junior as I please? Hypocrite, Chen Zhao said in disdain. Cut the crap. I've already sent it to LA. How do I get it to you? Forget it. Where's that Xiao Longnu now? I'll go get it. Go get it. I'll have her contact you. After hanging up the call with Zhang Tianyi, an unfamiliar phone number came in shortly after. It was a woman on the other end of the phone, and she was speaking fluent Chinese. Hello, are you Xiao Longnu? Compared to where they were meeting, Chen Zhao was more curious about whether it was really Xiao Longnu. I'm a Heartwarming. You're not Xiao Longnu. That's the title that the Grand Master forced on me. Oh, so you're Xiao Longnu. Do you still want the thing? Where are you now? I'll go find you. The two agreed to meet at a Chinese restaurant. Chen Zhao hurried out. Chen Zhao arrived at the restaurant first. Then, he saw a tall, brown-haired beauty walk over. The brown-haired beauty stood before him. You're Mr. Chen. Have you seen me before? Chen Zhao studied a Heartwarming. No, but you have dragon blood on you not long ago. It's not hard to tell, a Heartwarming said. Akrabumon said, Grandmaster also warned me that I can't beat you. For him to say that, it means that you must have proven your appetite. That's a good analysis. Give it to me. I think you're Mr. Chen, but you need to prove your identity. This is my driver's license. The ID might be fake. Chen Zhao pursed his lips. So troublesome. How to prove it? It was like how some departments always made unreasonable requests. For example, how could you prove that your son is your son? Chen Zhao wondered how long a Heartwarming had been in China for him to have gotten this bad habit. Then how do you think I should prove that I'm Chen Zhao? You can just give Grandmaster a call. Yeah, I should have thought of that. Chen Zhao clapped his hands. Use my phone, a Heartwarming said. Hey, old Zhang, your granddaughter-in-law is a bit stubborn. She said that if I don't prove my identity, she won't give it to me. Xiao Longnu, it's me. Give it to Chen Zhao now and then you'll have nothing to do with him. Chapter 2009. Xiao Longnu could tell that Chen Zhao was a very troublesome person. Otherwise, the Grandmaster wouldn't be in such a hurry to get her to cut ties with Chen Zhao after delivering the gift. The Grandmaster seemed unreliable most of the time. However, when he was serious, he gave off a sense of conviction. Zhang, what do you mean? It's obvious. You're a dangerous person. Chen Zhao was still talking to Zhang, the phone under his shoulder. He took the box from Xiao Longnu and opened it. There was a fruit he didn't recognize in the box. Is this it? Is this an elemental fruit? Chen Zhao was about to take it when Xiao Longnu immediately stopped him. You can't take it out. Why? You have to eat it within 3 minutes of taking it out, or it'll explode, Zhang Tianyi said. Are you sure it won't kill you? Chen Zhao was worried about the fact that it would explode if he didn't eat it. Would it really not explode in his stomach? If a regular creature eats it, there's a possibility of it exploding. But if it's a spiritual beast or a demon that's awakened intelligence, you don't have to worry. Only one. Where's the other one? I'll give the dragon heart to the Dragon King first. I'll pay the other two. This is the deposit. Can people eat it? Chen Zhao asked curiously. I've never heard of anyone eating it. You can try. It shouldn't kill you. Zhang Tianyi sounded like he really wanted to encourage Chen Zhao to eat it. I'll be a fool if I believe you. Chen Zhao felt that he should follow a rule. If Zhang said yes, then no. As long as he followed this rule, he wouldn't be at a disadvantage no matter what. But if he took Zhang's words seriously, he might really lose his life. Do you need me to bring Yang's wife around LA? Chen Zhao asked. No, definitely not. Chen Zhao shrugged. Why do I feel a deep evil intent? As the saying goes, don't have the intention to harm others, but don't be defenseless, Zhang Tianyi said mercilessly. Accra, goodbye. Chen Zhao turned and left in anger. Chen Zhao bid farewell to Accra Buman and drove away. Along the way, Chen Zhao saw Sharon doing something that 99% of the people in the world would hate to the bone. Getting a ticket. Chen Zhao stopped the car beside Sharon. Hi, darling. Sharon turned to look at him. Are you going home? Yeah, are you busy? Sharon checked the time and looked up at him. 2 of the people you sent to prison last time died before they could even go to court. Did you do it? Please, I'm a law-abiding citizen. How could I do something like that? I can only say that the prisons in the United States are too dark. Just thinking about it scares me. Sharon looked at the time and stared at him. You really didn't do it. I remember that when you saw them at the police station, you said that you wouldn't let them leave the prison alive. You must have remembered wrongly. By the way, are you in a hurry? I've been checking the time. No, I'm not in a hurry. Then why do you keep looking at the time? 3 minutes are up. Sharon took out a ticket and stuck it on Chen Zhao's windshield. This is a non-parking space and it's been more than 3 minutes. You clearly saw me pasting a ticket here, but you still dared to stop before me. Fuck. Chen Zhao gritted his teeth and stared at Sharon. You're too much. You could have warned me. I didn't have the obligation to warn you. I was going to treat you to an afternoon dessert. Can I understand that you're bribing me? Pretend I didn't say anything. Since you already said it, you should keep your promise, Sharon said matter-of-factly. Chen Zhao was helpless. Sharon wanted dessert and even gave him a ticket. She didn't know how to behave. Sharon drove her police motorcycle and followed behind Chen Zhao. The two arrived at an open-air restaurant. It wasn't their first time at this open-air restaurant. Both of them enjoyed eating desserts while looking at passers-by on the streets. Chen, you really didn't kill those two? No, they haven't been sentenced yet, Chen Zhao said matter-of-factly. Why would I kill them? If I really wanted to kill them, I wouldn't have sent them to prison first. This wasn't the prison life Chen Zhao had planned for them. Chen Zhao didn't even have time to exert any strength before he died. Do you not trust me that much? I trust you this time, Sharon said. Oh. It's rare for you to trust me so easily. In the past 3 months, a few people have died in that prison. It's the one you stayed in for a few days. LA 7th prison. Yes, they were lucky enough to stay there too. That prison isn't peaceful, Chen Zhao said weakly. I was bullied so badly there. Sharon glanced at Chen Zhao. She wouldn't believe his words. Because Chen Zhao had gone to prison because he'd helped her. Sharon was worried that Chen Zhao would regret being bullied in prison. Then, she used her connections to ask the prison guard. In the end, the guard said that on the first day, Chen Zhao had beaten up his cellmate. During lunch and dinner, he'd injured more than 10 people. On the second day, he'd purposely provoked gangs and injured more than 20 people. How could that be called being bullied badly? Sharon had never seen such an arrogant prison bully. Usually, even the most arrogant prisoners would stay obediently for a few days in prison. But Chen Zhao immediately became a prison bully that no one dared to offend. Okay, stop reminiscing about your glorious past, Sharon said, rolling her eyes. Sharon rolled her eyes and said, You've lived in that prison before. Do you know anyone suspicious in that prison? I was busy dealing with people, Sharon said, rolling her eyes. After 2 or 3 fights, no one dared to offend me anymore. I didn't find anyone suspicious either. However, Chen Zhao thought of the white nightmare he'd met in that prison. What was that white nightmare's background? After that, a few vines drilled out from the ground and directly coiled around the spirit beast. I want to ask you something. Have you heard of the white nightmare? White nightmare. Devil. Nightmare. Looks like you don't know either, Chen Zhao said disappointedly. Whatever, it's fine. Go back to work. White nightmare. Just then, Terry Boyd, who was beside West, turned to look at him. I know. West, who's beside you? He said he knows the white nightmare. A temporary member, West said. He saw that we have more people and came to suck up to us. Do you want me to talk to your president? Terry Boyd asked. Sure, talk to our president. West handed the phone to Terry Boyle. Hi, I'm Terry Boyd. I've heard a lot about you. Hi, Chen Zhao replied coldly. After all, they weren't close. Chen Zhao really wasn't interested in pretending to be nice. I heard that you want to ask about the white nightmare. Yeah, you know about it. Prison, hospital, funeral parlor. These are the 3 places where it's most likely to appear. Where did you hear about it? Prison. Chen Zhao's heart skipped a beat. It seemed that Terry Boyd really knew about the white nightmare. White nightmare, also known as white beast, eats the last thoughts of the dead, Terry Boyd said. Terry Boyle said, they will also fulfill the wishes of the deceased. Of course, that's when they are able to. That's not right. I can understand hospitals and funeral parlor, but prison isn't a place where people die normally. Why would white nightmare appear? They can sense death, especially the omens of evil people's death. To them, it's as bright as a lighthouse. And because the evil people's resentment is greater than that of ordinary people, it's extremely easy for them to turn into evil spirits. They will appear beside the evil people in advance, first eating the evil people's resentment, and then letting the evil people face death. It's not an exaggeration to say that they are the omens of death, and they often attach themselves to cats, dogs, or birds. That's why the white nightmares love to appear in prisons. So, they can only foresee death. Instead of massacres? White nightmares are kind beasts, not evil beasts, Terry Boyle said. They won't attack people on their own, much less kill. According to this person, the consecutive deaths of the prisoners in LA 7th prison had nothing to do with the white nightmare. The white nightmare had appeared much earlier than the deaths of the prisoners. Oh, normal people can see it too, right? People who are about to die can see it, but normal people can't. So, the consecutive deaths had nothing to do with the white nightmare? Okay, thank you for your explanation. Mr. Chen, don't hang up yet. Let's talk. Aren't you guys fighting? Yes, but these enemies are too weak. They can't threaten any of us at all. Mr. Chen, how did you train them? They seem to be very good at fighting, especially in large-scale chaotic situations like this. You should be asking West, not me. If West was willing to talk, it meant that he trusted Chen Zhao. If he didn't, Chen Zhao wouldn't either. Chapter 2011. Hey, Terry, when are you going to stop? West had been bringing people to poke the hornet's nest every day. They had poked a few nests of the spirit beasts over the past few days. The spirit beasts were not strong. At least, a spirit beast nest was not a threat to them. However, doing the same thing every day, no matter how thrilling it was, would be boring. It was as if turning an interest into a job would make it less fun. I want to, but I'm forcing the spirit of Juan to make a move now. Why do you have to force the spirit of Juan to make a move? Is he the best? No, the other three exist in the form of tribes or armies. For example, the number of spirit beasts we've killed these few days has reached at least 80,000, if not 100,000. But do you think we'll really be able to kill all of them? Terry Boyle said helplessly, only the spirit of the curse can be killed. The other three are unnatural creatures, but they are born to obey nature. They are actually part of the balance. The spirit of the curse is the true unnatural creature. Its appearance is completely caused by humans. The killing and destruction for entertainment purposes have long attracted the spirit of the curse. So, killing the spirit of the curse is my ultimate goal. I still don't understand. If you want to kill the spirit of Juan, why do you attack the spirit beasts? Is it because they are easy to bully? It's one thing to bully the spirit beasts, but the real reason is to lure the spirit of Juan out. I still don't understand. Remember what Malone said to you in the beginning? Malone said that you are seriously injured and killing unnatural creatures can make their energy return to nature. You can also speed up your recovery. But now, I can be sure that this is fake news. That's right, it's fake news. I deliberately released it, Terry said. If you were the spirit of Juan, would you let me recover? Or would you attack when I am seriously injured? But it's been so long. Why hasn't the spirit of Juan made a move? What is it waiting for? That's because I haven't shown up yet. The spirit of vengeance has been thinking that I'm hiding in a corner to recuperate, so it must be desperately looking for me. Didn't you notice? There are a lot of cultists gathering here, and they're all looking for me. I have to say, you humans are really many, and all of them are hopeless. West turned his head away. He also felt that the cultists were really stupid. All of them pursued redemption, but their redemption was to destroy the world first. What made them think that they would be saved by God if they committed the crime of destroying the world? Even West felt embarrassed. Couldn't these evil cultists be more intelligent? Even if they're using the fact that I don't like the entire human race, it's still better than destroying the world for the sake of redemption. Then hurry up and show yourself. We'll cooperate with you and put on a show. Don't be hasty. If we act too hasty, the spirit of Juan won't be fooled easily. It might even become suspicious. Where is the nest of the spirit of cursing? If he doesn't come out, why don't we go there directly? If I wanted to find his lair, would I let him stay until now? How troublesome, West complained. Chen Zhao, the second elemental fruit has been sent to Los Angeles. Go and receive it. Old Zhang, I really suspect that you've cheated more elemental fruits from the Dragon King, and then only gave me 2 of them. Don't be like this. We have to trust each other and not suspect each other. It'll affect our relationship. What relationship do you have with me? Tell me the truth. How many did you ask the Dragon King for? Just 3. Do you think elemental fruits are like dragon fruits that you can have as many as you want? But I'm just suspicious. What should I do? It hurts my heart to hear you think like that. It's mainly because you gave it too easily. I really didn't. It's useless even if you kill me. I only took 1 as payment. Forget it. I'll have a way to verify it in the future. This elemental fruit can be eaten by any beast that has awakened magic power or intelligence or has transformed into a demon, right? Yes, it's a non-human earthly treasure. What do you mean? What does non-human earthly treasure mean? Humans are the spirit of all creatures. They gather the spirits of the world and occupy the fortune of the world. This also makes it difficult for other species to steal resources from humans. It's the same for normal beasts, spiritual beasts, and demons. That's why the world gave birth to these non-human earthly treasures. It means that humans can't use, eat, or steal spiritual fruits and treasures. In nature, humans can't eat them, but other animals can. Chen Zhao didn't know if Princess was a demon, spiritual, or magical beast. Chen Zhao had given Princess an intelligence potion before, so she should have awakened her intelligence. Princess had also used strengthening potions and demonic potions. She had a demon bloodline. A few days ago, she had also awakened an earth elemental talent. You've seen my Princess Ursa, right? Yes. Why? Princess awakened an earth elemental talent a few days ago and can control the power of the earth. If I give her an elemental fruit, will she get another talent or strengthen her original earth elemental talent? I don't know. I don't know much about elemental fruits. Let her eat it. She really won't die, right? Chen Zhao asked, still worried. Anyway, I've never heard of anyone dying from eating an elemental fruit. It should be safe. Chen Zhao glanced at the lazy bear sunbathing in the yard. He considered giving Princess a try tonight. Chen Zhao had many pets at home, but he only dared to give them to Princess. Walter was also a hybrid, but he hadn't awakened a talent. Chen Zhao was afraid that something would happen to him. White Snow was the same. Although it had been strengthened, it didn't have a talent. As for Beelzebub and the others, they weren't animals or beasts. They were demons. They were just projections in this world in the form of animals. For example, Amon. His projection in this world was a giant whale. There was also the resurrected Lickig Gats Beria in the underground laboratory. They were both Beria's subordinates, but their forms were worlds apart. Then I'm relieved, Chen Zhao said. Oh, what else? If anything happens to my pets, I'll go to Dragon Tiger Mountain and kill their guardian beast. Chen Zhao, can you not be so hooligan? You guaranteed it, so you should take responsibility, right? Even if I take responsibility, I don't think so. Chapter 2012. It's Little Dragon Girl again. Let's get down to business. Zhang Tianyi's tone suddenly turned serious. I have a favor to ask of you. Favor of me? What is it? It's not a big deal. Just help me beat up the delivery disciple. Are you kidding? No, I'm not kidding. My grand disciple's cultivation method is called the Rui Sutra. It has a flaw, which is that it's extremely powerful. It's no problem for him to fight 10 people at the same level. Fighting 10 people is a flaw. Do you have any other flaws like that? Give me a dozen. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding either. Do you have some misunderstanding about the word flaw? The Rui Sutra's power is an advantage, but it's also a flaw. You have to be defeated at every level. The so-called Rui means that you have to be willing to do it. Why do I have to do this? You can do it too. The Rui Sutra trains the heart. My grand disciple knows that we're worlds apart, so even if I defeat him, he'll think it's natural, because I'm a senior and he's a junior. How can he train his heart when he's in such a state? Zhang Tianyi said, but you're different. He's so arrogant that he thinks he's invincible among his peers. If you defeat him now, his realm will advance by leaps and bounds. Why should I be the bad guy? Chen Zhao said. I won't do it anyway. If someone else could do it, I wouldn't be begging you. Among my grand disciples, none of them can defeat him. Even the few disciples who are qualified to inherit the position of celestial master can't do it. Even among the elders, there are very few who can match him. Now, unless we ask a few old guys to come out, almost no one can stop him. You made me an enemy out of nowhere. How could you come up with such an idea? I'm begging you. Right now, his state of mind is unstable, and he doesn't even know what kind of cultivation method he's practicing. He always thinks that his awesomeness is because of his 1-in-a-million talent. In fact, although his talent is not bad, it's far from 1-in-a-million. Even among his fellow disciples, there are many who are more outstanding than him. Why don't you just tell him that the reason why he's so awesome is because of his cultivation technique, not his talent? What he wants is to temper his state of mind, not to directly destroy him. If we tell him the truth, it will directly destroy his pride, and he will be completely crippled. Then are you sure that I won't destroy him if I make a move? No, no. It's not like he hasn't lost before. Although this Rui Sutra is awesome, it's far from being invincible. In the end, it still requires a sufficiently high cultivation base. How far do I need to go? I just have to defeat him, right? No, as long as you can't kill him, then beat him to death. Are you sure? As long as there aren't any sequelae, just hit them. That's what you said. If I break him, you can't blame me. I said it, Zhang Tianyi agreed straightforwardly. Are you sure that your disciple isn't the son of your enemy or something? You agree to this, right? Since you're begging me, I'll reluctantly agree. What's so hard about beating people up? Chen Zhao said casually. But are you sure your disciple won't really treat me as an enemy? I'll just explain it to him after he breaks through. Okay. Does he know that I'm the delivery person this time? No, I haven't told him yet. Call him to the suburbs. I'll give you a place. Tell him to go there so that it'll be easier for me to beat him up. Oh, what's his name again? Yi Fingmiao. This name was definitely the male protagonist's special name. He was now following behind Zhang Tianyi's disciple. He had already followed him for half an hour. Even from a male's perspective, Yi Fingmiao was so handsome that he had no friends. Of course, this also increased Chen Zhao's urge to beat him up. In fact, Yi Fingmiao had also noticed that Chen Zhao had been following him. He could also feel Chen Zhao's murderous aura along the way. Yi Fingmiao didn't know who Chen Zhao was. But someone who could release murderous aura toward him definitely wasn't an ordinary person. Yi Fingmiao still pretended to be ignorant and continued walking toward the place his grandmaster had given him. He guessed the identity of the person following him. At the same time, he was also on guard. At the same time, he secretly called Zhang Tianyi. Grandmaster, I think I'm being followed. What? You're being followed. Who's following you? Is it a spiritualist from North America? I'm not sure. He's very far from me. I can only guess that he's Asian. Then be careful. Also, don't lose the thing I told you to give me. That thing is very important. I heard that many people in the country want to snatch it. The people who are following you are probably from a cult in the country. Zhang Tianyi's acting was very good. He didn't reveal any flaws. Got it. Yi Fengmiao glanced at Chen Zhao, who was far behind him. To be honest, Chen Zhao's tracking skills were really bad. In the past, when Chen Zhao followed others, he mostly relied on the night or flew high in the sky. This way, even if others sensed his aura, they wouldn't be able to determine his location. But it was still daytime. Chen Zhao couldn't fly, so he could only follow on foot. It was reasonable for Yi Fengmiao to discover him. As he walked, Yi Fengmiao thought of a plan. He tried to shake off Chen Zhao, but he realized that although Chen Zhao wasn't very good at tracking, he was very fast. However, his speed was quite fast. He tried to shake him off several times, but to no avail. It seemed that he could only fight. Yi Fengmiao had an idea. Holding a yellow talisman between his fingers, he chanted. The wind hides the white clothes. The yellow water hides the red dust. The cloak concealment spell. At some point, Yi Fengmiao disappeared before Chen Zhao's eyes. Chen Zhao was surprised. How did the kid disappear? Chinese spells were indeed troublesome. His shadow eye couldn't find the kid's sight. Chen Zhao didn't know that the cloak concealment spell could erase all traces in a short time. It was as if the caster had disappeared from the world. No spell could find him. Even Zhang Tianyi couldn't find any traces of Yi Fengmiao, let alone Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao had already arrived at the place where Yi Fengmiao had disappeared. He looked left and right but didn't see Yi Fengmiao. Chapter 2013. No way, he ran away just like that. If he really ran away, he'd lose all his face. At that time, Zhang Tianyi, that old guy, would definitely mock and ridicule him. Chen Zhao had already opened his small world completely. The small world enveloped everything within a radius of 1,000 meters. But he still couldn't find any trace of Yi Fengmiao. Chen Zhao knew that he was nearby. But he just couldn't find him. Just when Chen Zhao thought that Yi Fengmiao had escaped, suddenly, an aura descended from the sky without any warning. Chen Zhao raised his head and saw many burning yellow talismans flying in the sky. Immediately, Chen Zhao felt his head sink, as if something heavy had landed on it. Chen Zhao staggered 2 steps and a burning yellow talisman floated before him. Chen Zhao was stunned. He stared at the yellow talisman before him in shock. The yellow talisman suddenly turned into a yellow turban warrior. Left hook, right hook, uppercut, warrior cleaves the mountain. Chen Zhao didn't know which way was north after this combination of punches. The yellow turban warrior didn't exist for long, only a few dozen seconds. But as soon as it disappeared, Chen Zhao heard Yi Fengmiao's voice. 9 dragons clasp. 9 yellow talismans landed before Chen Zhao. Then they turned into 9 dragon-shaped cyclones. One of the cyclones wrapped around Chen Zhao's neck and turned into a metal clasp. Chen Zhao reached out to break the metal buckle on his neck, but the other 2 dragon-shaped cyclones immediately wrapped around his arms and also turned into metal buckles. Chen Zhao felt the clasp on his neck tighten. The clasps on his arms were also pulling his arms to the sides. They were quite strong, but it wasn't very effective against Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao didn't use his full strength, afraid that he'd scare Yi Fengmiao away. Just then, Yi Fengmiao seemed to think that the situation was set. He revealed himself before Chen Zhao. Sir, who are you? Which sect are you from? Yi Fengmiao looked at Chen Zhao proudly. Hand over what your grandmaster told you to bring and I'll spare your life. Chen Zhao was going to play the bad guy today, so he obviously had to act like one. You're already in my hands. How can you let me live? Yi Fengmiao sneered at Chen Zhao, his eyes filled with disdain. Chen Zhao looked at Yi Fengmiao. To be honest, Yi Fengmiao wasn't led astray. His values were still rather upright. At least, when Yi Fengmiao had the upper hand, he didn't go all out. He also had a sense of propriety when he made his move. It was just that since young, he had always been the center of attention, so it was inevitable for him to be a little self-righteous and condescending. Chen Zhao really didn't want to be the bad guy. No matter how you looked at it, Yi Fengmiao had the fate of a main character. However, since he had promised old man Zhang Tianyi, he had to at least put in some effort. Do you think you can catch me? Chen Zhao shook his arms with all his might. The metal buckles on his arms broke instantly. Yi Fengmiao's pupils constricted as he retreated, casting his spells at the same time. Mount Tai is the prison, the ecliptic subdues the demon. Yi Fengmiao's talent was undeniable. He was currently using an ecliptic path spell. Although the ecliptic Tao was born from Taoism, it did not belong to Taoism. It was a school of its own. The path of the ecliptic was good at divining the stars and fortune, and was also good at subduing demons. The people of Huaxia often talked about the auspicious day of the zodiac, and the zodiac referred to this ecliptic magic technique. However, the current ecliptic lineage was already lacking in disciples. Yi Fengmiao had once obtained an ecliptic path treasure when he was young. He also obtained an ancient book, which allowed him to learn ecliptic path magic. Furthermore, the inheritance of the ecliptic Tao emphasized on talent the most. If one didn't have enough talent, they wouldn't be able to learn it even if the secret manual was placed in front of them. As Yi Fengmiao unleashed her spell, it formed a square cage around Chen Zhao. Seeing that Chen Zhao was trapped, Yi Fengmiao heaved a long sigh of relief. He had never seen anyone who could shatter the 9-dragon buckle with just a vibration. If he hadn't reacted in time, he might have really died in the hands of this guy. Just what sect did this guy belong to? He actually had such an unfathomable cultivation. Looking at his age, he seemed to be only 1 or 2 years older than him. If they were to confront each other head-on, he would probably suffer a crushing defeat. Chen Zhao reached out and grabbed the bars of the cage. The bars weren't made of metal, wood, or stone. It wasn't a normal cage. It was formed with the power of Mount Tai. It was invulnerable to weapons and water and fire. You're a prisoner now. Do you want to tell me who you are? Chen Zhao twisted his neck and looked at Yi Fengmiao. There was also a ninja suit hidden in his spatial ring. The original plan was to pretend to be a Japanese ninja and attack him. That way, he wouldn't have to show his face in public. In the future, if Yi Fengmiao wanted to take revenge, he could go to Japan to find him. However, he didn't even have time to change before they started fighting. Chen Zhao crossed his arms. I want to know how long you can maintain this spell. Light flashed across Yi Fengmiao's eyes. 3/4 of an hour. But in these 3/4 of an hour, I can attack you, but you can't do anything. Do you think you can withstand my attacks for 3/4 of an hour? Chen Zhao rubbed his chin and thought. How long is 3 minutes? Oh, right, it's half an hour, right? Yi Fengmiao snorted, thinking that Chen Zhao was teasing him. Looks like you won't know fear if I don't teach you a lesson. Just then, Yi Fengmiao's phone rang. Yi Fengmiao glanced at it. It was Zhang Tianyi. Xiao Yezi, are you okay? I'm great. Grandmaster, I've already caught that person. I'm asking about his background. You caught him. Yes, I used ecliptic demon suppression to trap him in the cage. Come, let's video call. Maybe I know him. Zhang Tianyi knew that Chen Zhao was definitely going easy on him. However, it would definitely be interesting to see Chen Zhao being trapped by his grand disciple's spell. He had to take a screenshot and save it to humiliate Qin Zhao in the future. But Qin Zhao also heard the conversation between Yifeng Miao and Zhang Tianyi. How could he give Zhang Tianyi such a chance? Boom! The ground shook. Yifeng Miao almost lost his footing. He saw that Qin Zhao was punching the cage. Qin Zhao's first punch didn't have any effect. But what was with that earth-shaking tremor? Yifeng Miao stared at Qin Zhao in shock. Qin Zhao estimated, looks like it's tougher than I thought. If Zhang Tianyi used this move, I'd probably have to use all my strength to break free. Luckily, Yifeng Miao isn't that old man. Qin Zhao punched the cage again. This time, he was 10 times stronger than before. Boom! The cage collapsed instantly. Before Yifeng Miao could react, Qin Zhao had already grabbed his neck. Divine Emperor of the Nine Heavens. Chapter 2014. Yifeng Miao was completely frightened. Ecliptic demon suppression had been broken. It wasn't like ecliptic demon suppression hadn't been broken before. But in the past, it had always been broken by the opponent's techniques. He had never known that the ecliptic demon suppression art could be destroyed through brute force. Today, he had truly broadened his horizons. Yifeng Miao was extremely fast. Seeing Qin Zhao grab him, he immediately cast Heavenly King's possession on himself. When did Yifeng Miao become so strong? He felt like he could tear everything apart. But he'd overestimated himself. When he tried to pry open Qin Zhao's palm, he realized that his strength was useless. Even with Heavenly King's possession, he couldn't move Qin Zhao at all. I said, hand over what that old turtle gave you and I'll spare your life. Qin Zhao purposely said this for Zhang Tianyi to hear. Yifeng Miao hadn't hung up yet. Zhang Tianyi was still on the phone. Qin Zhao snatched Yifeng Miao's phone and opened the video call. Old turtle, do you want to see how I kill your disciple? Yifeng Miao felt like he was about to suffocate. Qin Zhao's power was too great. Waves of pain came from his neck. He'd never seen someone who dared to provoke his grandmaster like this. This was not a provocation behind his back. It was right in front of Zhang Tianyi. This guy's guts were boundless. He also dared to provoke Zhang Tianyi like this. Then he'd definitely dare to kill him. This made Yifeng Miao's limbs turn cold. In the past, no matter what kind of enemy he'd faced, Zhang Tianyi would always stand out to protect him. But this time, Zhang Tianyi was thousands of miles away. Zhang Tianyi couldn't do anything. Yifeng Miao's mind suddenly cleared up. He had to save himself now. His grandmaster couldn't save him anymore. If he couldn't save himself, then he would be dead. Thoughts spun in Yifeng Miao's mind. Possibilities popped up in his mind one after another. But he eliminated them one by one. Finally, he thought of an idea. Sky Demon Disintegration Technique. Yifeng Miao roared. Immediately after, Yifeng Miao's aura surged. Just then, Qin Zhao felt a boundless pressure coming toward him. In that instant, Qin Zhao was furious. What a terrifying power. But the next moment, Qin Zhao woke up. What the hell? This wasn't a power strong enough to scare Qin Zhao. It was basically a type of spiritual magic. And this was not some sky demon disintegration technique. Yifeng Miao shouted like that to scare Qin Zhao. The great demonic disintegration technique was a desperate technique. Exchanging life force for power, the effect could range from several times to dozens of times. However, even if Yifeng Miao's power had increased by dozens of times, he wouldn't be scared by Qin Zhao. In reality, what Yifeng Miao had just used was the Shining Dragon technique of the Ecliptic Tao. The name of the candle dragon skill sounded very powerful. In fact, the candle dragon skill had no offensive effect at all. The candle dragon skill was to give the enemy a deceptive illusion. To put it bluntly, it was mental magic. It made one think that they were facing an illumination dragon and not a human. And Yifeng Miao's strategy worked. He really scared Qin Zhao. However, this effect was too short-lived. Qin Zhao woke up almost instantly. Yifeng Miao was surprised to see Qin Zhao wake up so quickly. The last person to wake up in such a short time was Zhang Tianyi. But this man couldn't be compared to his grandmaster. Qin Zhao's expression darkened. Because he really felt that it was quite embarrassing. He'd been tricked by an empty fort. "I'm going to kill you." Qin Zhao gritted his teeth and stared at Yifeng Miao. Yifeng Miao didn't speak. After breaking free, he immediately cast a spell to escape. Earth escape. Yifeng Miao's figure disappeared from the ground. Qin Zhao's eyes glowed. He could feel Yifeng Miao's aura moving rapidly underground. Qin Zhao punched the ground with all his might. Rumble, with a loud sound, the ground within 100 meters collapsed and cracked. Yifeng Miao had thought that he'd escaped. But he soon realized that he was in trouble. The ground had been shattered by Qin Zhao. There were cracks everywhere, making it impossible for him to continue using Earth Escape. Yifeng Miao could only burrow out of the ground. He held a yellow talisman in his hand and scribbled in the air. The yellow talisman started burning. "Spirit of the heavens, spirit of the earth, old Lord Taishang, show yourself. Lend me your body and aid me in my cultivation. Destroy my traitor and spread my virtue." Yifeng Miao could only force himself to fight Qin Zhao. Zhang Tianyi was watching the battle between Qin Zhao and Yifeng Miao. Qin Zhao wanted Zhang Tianyi to see how he was bullying his disciple. Seeing Yifeng Miao use treasure-seeking 3 pure ones, Zhang Tianyi couldn't help but slap his forehead. Treasure-seeking 3 pure ones was a superior grade spell. In Taoism, the 3 pure ones referred to the 3 supreme gods. In the eyes of cultivators, the 3 pure ones referred to 3 types of qi. In ancient times, it was written as qi. The 3 qi were Tai Qing, Yu Qing, and Shang Qing. It was referring to the innate qi, chaotic qi, and nature qi. As for the many Taoist spells, they seemed to be related to the gods, but in fact, they borrowed the power of nature. For example, Yifeng Miao's treasure-seeking 3 pure ones. Basically, it was using connate qi from Tai Qing. Humans had connate qi, so did the world. If it had been an ordinary opponent, this spell would have been just right. But now, his opponent was Qin Zhao. This was not an enemy that a normal spell like treasure-seeking 3 pure ones could turn around. In Zhang Tianyi's opinion, Yifeng Miao needed a more radical spell. He might not be able to defeat Qin Zhao, but he had a higher chance of protecting himself. Yifeng Miao borrowed the connate qi from Tai Qing and spat it at Qin Zhao. True Samadhi Fire. Qin Zhao was really shocked when he heard the name True Samadhi Fire. He didn't dare to take Yifeng Miao's fire head-on. However, Qin Zhao had an absolute advantage in speed. He circled to Yifeng Miao's back in the blink of an eye and kicked his butt. "Piss off." Yifeng Miao fell to the ground in a sorry state. The kick was neither light nor heavy, but he couldn't even straighten his back. "You bastard," Yifeng Miao cursed. "I'm a bastard. You've never seen me more of a bastard." With a flash, Qin Zhao appeared before Yifeng Miao again and gave him a big slap. "Aw." Yifeng Miao covered his face and took 2 steps back. "Hand it over, or I'll let you die in a foreign land." Chapter 2015. Chen Zhao suddenly felt that dying in a foreign land wasn't cruel enough. Do you know what American prisons are like? Chen Zhao didn't even need to say anything. Yi Fengmiao had already started imagining things. Yi Fengmiao's treasure-seeking 3 was very ineffective. It was just as Zhang Tianyi had predicted. The treasure-seeking 3 pure ones were not suitable to deal with an enemy like Chen Zhao. Seeking treasures from the 3 pure ones was to borrow Xiantian Qi, Chaotic Qi, and Nature Qi. And the biggest use of borrowing these 3 was to make his own spells sharper and release some spells that he couldn't release in the past. However, Chen Zhao didn't want to compete with Yi Fengmiao in spells. If it was just spells, Yi Fengmiao was much better than Chen Zhao. But they weren't competing in spells now. They were competing in combat power. Chen Zhao's combat power was much better than Yi Fengmiao's. Yi Fengmiao couldn't even hit Chen Zhao. No, more accurately, Yi Fengmiao couldn't even release a complete spell. Chen Zhao didn't give him any time or chance. It was like a fighter and a gunman. The gunman had to take out his gun first and then load it. But the fighter wouldn't give him the chance. Of course, Chen Zhao didn't plan on killing him. So, he knew when to stop. This was on the premise that Yi Fengmiao wouldn't die. Other than that, there were no other restrictions. Yi Fengmiao was also stubborn. He'd been beaten into a pig's head by Chen Zhao. But he still wouldn't take it out and wouldn't lower his head to Chen Zhao. It looked like he was already half dead. Chen Zhao didn't stop. He continued beating Yi Fengmiao. Just then, Zhang Tianyi yelled in the video, "Enough, stop. Yi, give him the thing." Grandmaster. I can't, the thing is important, but not as important as you, Zhang Tianyi said seriously. Chen Zhao pouted. This old guy was using his favor to improve his relationship with his disciple. What a jerk. He was the one who told Chen Zhao to beat up his disciple. Yet, he still pretended to care about his junior. What a detestable face. Seeing Zhang Tianyi's pitiful expression, Chen Zhao really wanted to beat him up. Yi Fengmiao still didn't want to admit defeat. It wasn't about the thing anymore. His stubbornness and his pride did not allow him to admit defeat. Yi Fengmiao felt a lump in his chest. Yi Fengmiao's breathing quickened. The aura on his body also became stronger and stronger. Zhang Tianyi raised his eyebrows. Breakthrough. He broke through just like that. Zhang Tianyi really didn't expect this. He had originally thought that after this setback, Yi Fengmiao would need to return to the mountain to settle down before he could make a breakthrough. He didn't expect Yi Fengmiao to break through so quickly. Yi Fengmiao also felt that he was different. His magic power was increasing at an alarming rate. I won't admit defeat, I will never admit defeat. Yi Fengmiao suddenly roared hysterically. His eyes were bloodshot, and the aura on his body was multiplying. I did not lose. Yi Fengmiao wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and took out a yellow talisman. Again. It's almost time for my meal. I don't have time to waste with you. Can't you just hand it over? Chen Zhao was getting impatient. Chen Zhao charged forward, grabbed Yi Fengmiao's wrist, and lifted her up. One of Yi Fengmiao's hands was in the air, but he was unprecedentedly confident. His other hand didn't stop casting spells. He even let Chen Zhao grab his arm on purpose. His left hand was already waiting for Chen Zhao with a huge gift. The sky seemed to darken especially early today. The sun hadn't completely set just now. But now, the sky suddenly darkened. Ecliptic Miazong. Yi Fengmiao's palm suddenly slapped Chen Zhao's face. A giant covered in talismans appeared behind Yi Fengmiao. The giant was called Miazong, a god in the ecliptic system. From Earth, the trajectory of the sun in the sky, the path that the sun took was called the ecliptic. After the sun set, Miezong would drag it to the end of the sea. One day, when the sun no longer rose, it would be the day Miezong completely destroyed the sun. Thus, the giant Miezong was also a symbol of destruction. Miezong's palm slapped toward Qinzhao. The moment Qinzhao was hit, a huge impact occurred. Miezong's attacks were also filled with destructive power. Every time he attacked, there would be a violent explosion. Yifengmiao didn't think that Qinzhao could beat him now. He had successfully summoned the giant Zongmia. This spell was the most powerful spell in the ecliptic path. In fact, Yifengmiao believed that there was no spell more powerful than the ecliptic annihilation spell. Qinzhao was thrown into the air by the attack. Boom boom boom, giant Zongmia attacked Qinzhao 3 more times in the air. Qinzhao fell to the ground. Yifengmiao was delighted to see Qinzhao in such a sorry state. Because now, the situation had been completely reversed. Right now, he was the one in charge of life and death. Qinzhao stood up slowly. Yifengmiao was not in a hurry to attack. Instead, he looked down at Qinzhao. "Is there anything else you want to say now?" Qinzhao tore off his tattered jacket. "I'm sick of it. This game isn't fun." Qinzhao looked at the phone he'd snatched from Yifengmiao and crushed it. Zhang Tianyi, who was on Mount Longhu, felt his heart skip a beat. He cursed inwardly. "Don't go overboard." Zhang Tianyi quickly called Qinzhao. Qinzhao glanced at his phone and turned it off. "Let's talk one last time. Give me the item and I'll leave." "Beat me first," Yifengmiao said proudly. To him, Qinzhao was already at the end of his rope. He had no other choice. Just like in the past, his opponents would fall before him one by one. Qinzhao took a deep breath and looked at Yifengmiao and the giant behind him. "Do you really think you can beat me with this?" "The truth is obvious. I've won." Yifengmiao looked at Qinzhao proudly. "Fine, if you think so, let's begin." Qinzhao shrugged. "Mia, kill him." Yifengmiao didn't plan to show mercy this time. He felt that Qinzhao wanted to kill him, so it was reasonable for him to kill Qinzhao. But Qinzhao had disappeared. Did he run? Yifengmiao was surprised. Qinzhao had run too fast. This disappointed him. He'd wanted to see how strong Miao was. He didn't think that the arrogant Qinzhao would be so cowardly. But Yifengmiao didn't see how Qinzhao had escaped. However, giant Miezong kept looking up at the sky. Chapter 2016. What was he looking at? Giant Zongmia shouldn't be conscious. Yifengmiao was confused. He also looked up at the sky. Most of Yifengmiao's spells were of the ecliptic branch. But that didn't mean he believed in the ecliptic. He knew very well that giant Zongmia wasn't a real god. He wasn't an ancient god that had existed in history. He had never truly existed. But that didn't stop him from being powerful. Yifengmiao suddenly saw something in the night sky. It seemed to be a star, or a shooting star. It was dragging a flaming tail. That thing seemed to be falling toward him. Yifengmiao tilted his head and watched for a minute. Gradually, he felt that something was wrong. That thing really seemed to be falling toward him. Yifengmiao didn't have time to prepare. The falling speed of that thing was simply too fast. When that thing came close, Yifengmiao finally saw what it was. It was Qinzhao. Yifengmiao was completely confused. How did Qinzhao fall from such a high place? How did he appear so high in the sky in the blink of an eye? Boom, falling from the sky, Chen Zhao smashed into giant Zhongmia. There was a loud bang, accompanied by a destructive shockwave. Yi Fengmiao was sent flying. Giant Zhongmia took the direct hit from the shooting star. His body pierced hundreds of meters through the forest and then lay on the ground, dead. There was a hole in his chest. His body was gradually dissipating, returning to the world. Yi Fengmiao's head was bleeding. He stood up with difficulty. He looked very wretched. His arms, body, and face were covered in dirt and blood. Chen Zhao looked at the forest that giant Zhongmia had swept through. There was a shocking burn mark on the ground. Chen Zhao stood where giant Zhongmia had disappeared and looked at Yi Fengmiao, who was staggering over. Have you heard of a palm technique that falls from the sky? Madman. He was a madman. This was like a person jumping down from the 30th floor in order to kill his enemy, wanting to smash his enemy to death. But Chen Zhao had succeeded, and he was completely unharmed. Yi Fengmiao didn't know what to say. Yi Fengmiao calculated how much power he had left. Could he summon the giant destroyer again? Do you think I'll let you summon that ugly thing again? Chen Zhao grinned. Yi Fengmiao took a deep breath, his eyes still filled with stubbornness. If you dare to resist again, trust me. I will definitely crush your balls. The stubborn Yi Fengmiao finally gave in. Any man would have given in to such a threat. Yi Fengmiao took out a box. However, he hesitated whether he should throw it to Chen Zhao. After all, if Chen Zhao went back on his word after getting the item, there was nothing he could do. Yi Fengmiao looked at Chen Zhao with sparkling eyes. Don't worry. I'll definitely keep my promise. Chen Zhao smiled sincerely. Yi Fengmiao took a deep breath and finally threw the box to Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao opened the box. It was indeed an elemental fruit. I've given you the item. Can I go now? No. Chen Zhao suddenly smiled evilly. You want to break your promise? No, I'm not breaking my promise. Chen Zhao waved his finger. My previous condition was that you take this out and I won't make things difficult for you, but it's different now. I only promised that I won't crush your balls. You shoal. When Chen Zhao walked out of the forest, he finally exhaled in relief. Old Zhang, it's done. I've already taught your grand disciple a good lesson. Chen Zhao, you shoal, Zhang Tianyi cursed. If anything happens to my grand disciple, I won't let you off. I'm asking about your ancestor. Why are you cursing me? You told me to do this. Do you believe that I won't go back and kill your grand disciple? Don't be like this. I'm old. I can't control my emotions. Fuck, seeing your face, I really should kill your grand disciple. How is he now? I ripped off all his hair, broke his hands, crushed his shoulder blades, broke 3 of his ribs, and crushed his left knee plate. You're too cruel. What's a small injury to you? Don't tell me you can't heal him. Zhang Tianyi somewhat regretted asking Chen Zhao for help. Chen Zhao really did as he asked. As long as he couldn't die, he would beat him to death. I can understand you hurting him, but why did you rip off all his hair? Do you know that women aren't the only ones who are jealous? Men have it too, Chen Zhao said honestly. Yes, Chen Zhao was jealous of his handsomeness. Such a handsome man should be punished by justice. I agree. Zhang Tianyi suddenly changed his stance. You're even jealous of your grand disciple? Any man who's more handsome than me is my enemy. I don't care if he's my grand disciple or not. You're so bad, old man. You might not believe it, but he's still a virgin. How is that possible? With his looks, even I'd believe it if you said that his pursuers are stronger, unless he's impotent. But when I fought him just now, I felt that he was full of energy. It doesn't look like he's impotent. Plus, his actions are normal. He doesn't look gay. When he entered the sept, I told him that he can't get close to women before mastering his martial art. Otherwise, he'll die suddenly. Really? Of course not. I've never heard of any martial art that requires virgins to practice. Don't they say that you have to maintain your virginity? That's in wuxia novels. You actually believe that? I suddenly feel so happy, Chen Zhao said, taking pleasure in Zhang Tianyi's misfortune. You haven't seen this brat. The female outer sect disciples of Mount Longhu are throwing flirtatious glances at him all day long, but he's been suppressing it all day long. At night, he's secretly having sex. He thinks no one knows. Haha, fuck, you're too dirty. You're the king of filth. Peeking at your grand disciple shooting. If this guy knows what you've done, he'll definitely be corrupted. Chen Zhao was completely impressed by the old man's bad taste. It's because he's so handsome. Tell me the truth. Did you really ask me to beat him up to train his mind? Or are you just jealous of his handsomeness? Don't doubt my professionalism. I'm a professional as a grandmaster. Shang. Chen Zhao suddenly changed his tone. What? I recorded everything you said just now. Chapter 2017. When Chen Zhao left the mountain, he saw the figure of a giant dragon. The aura was familiar. It seemed to be Xiao Longnu. Oh, her real name was Akra Bumon. However, Chen Zhao really couldn't remember her real name. It was easier to remember Xiao Longnu. Xiao Longnu didn't notice Chen Zhao's gaze. She flew through the sky in her original form. Then, he called Zhang Tianyi. Old Zhang, did you call Xiao Longnu? I told her to collect Yi Fengmiao's corpse. Zhang Tianyi's vicious mouth was always harsh. Speaking of which, if there are giant dragons in the west, are there dragons in the east? Chen Zhao was curious. Yes and no. You're playing with the stream of consciousness again. Just tell me directly. Yes or no? Just as you think, there are no dragons like the giant dragon clan. I really don't like talking to you. If you don't like talking to me, then why are you calling me? If I don't call you, then I'll call your disciple. Fine, fine. How can you be like this? How can you bully a junior? What right do you have to criticize me? Who gave you the confidence? Do you want me to tell you or not? Fine, tell me. The dragons in China are divine beasts. They're formed from the qi in the rivers and the essence of the world. Then those flood dragons, scale dragons, and carps jumping over the dragon gate aren't real dragons. Flood dragons can really turn into dragons, but they have to become the river god of a river first. For example, the flood dragon you killed last time. After becoming a river god, it kept merging with the water qi and shed its acquired body, finally turning into a divine dragon. As for other scaled dragons, there really aren't any. The possibility of carps jumping over the dragon gate is even smaller. How can they turn into dragons after jumping? They don't even taste good. What if the carp becomes a spirit and becomes a river god? How can there be so many ifs? There will always be a few mutants in this world, and there will always be exceptions. However, exceptions are exceptions. If one group succeeds, it doesn't mean that the entire group will definitely succeed. For example, you are so awesome right now, but you said that all humans are like you. Is that possible? Zhang Tianyi said disapprovingly. There are also familiar mythological beasts such as Phoenix and Kylin. They are all born from the essence of heaven and earth. For example, Phoenix is born from the light of the sun shining on the earth, so Phoenix is also called the royal bird. Kylan is born from the essence of the mountain spirit, so Kylan is the king of all beasts. So you're saying that the legends about those mythological beasts are basically fake? Most of them are fake. Of course, some myths were modified to be more in line with the understanding and knowledge of mortals. After hundreds or thousands of years of evolution, they finally became the myths that we know now. Then what about those ancient beasts in the legends? For example, the dragon giving birth to 9 sons is also fake. So these mythological beasts can't be killed, right? They're not completely unkillable. Wait. Chen Zhao, don't be rash. Mythological beasts may not be the strongest, but they represent the supreme will. When you see them, you should kowtow to them first. Don't always think about fighting and killing. Have you ever kowtowed to a mythological beast? Yes. When I was at the peak of my luck, I saw the master of the Great Swamp, the mythological beast Bai Zhe. Zhang Tianyi was not embarrassed at all when talking about his shameless past. He even sounded proud of himself. Did you get anything in return? Of course, but the condition is that you have to make him feel good. Things are different now. Back then, I could flatter him all sorts of things. Now that I'm arrogant, I can't lower myself. You can't, but I can. Introduce that mythological beast Bai Zhe to me. What's the point of introducing you? I can't even find him. Didn't you say that he's the master of the Great Swamp? Go to the Great Swamp and find him. The Great Swamp is a legendary place. Do you think it's your backyard? People without great luck won't be able to find it. By the way, what happens if I kill a mythological beast? That's a great cause and effect. For example, the divine beast Bai Zhe. He's formed from the wind and clouds, and he also symbolizes auspiciousness and longevity. At the same time, he also has the ability to bless his descendants. But if you kill him, you'll end your line of descendants. This isn't a curse, but it's cause and effect. Chen Zhao shivered. Does the benefit you get have something to do with what he symbolizes? I've been blessed with the health and safety of my descendants, Zhang Tianyi said seriously. Ha! Chen Zhao was intrigued. This was good stuff. Then what do dragons, phoenixes, and qilin symbolize? I don't know, but they have an auspicious side and a dark side. So, don't kill a mythological beast presumptuously. What you gain might not be as good as what you lose. Will the Western dragons be fine? I've killed quite a few dragons. It's fine. As long as you think you can even wipe them out. You old thing. Stop egging me on, Chen Zhao cursed. But the next moment, he changed his tone. Is it possible to create mythological beasts artificially? It's possible when you reach a certain level, but it'll be meaningless by then, Zhang Tianyi said. For example, you're so rich now. If you think about asking for this and that, you've already surpassed the level of what you used to dream about. I feel like I'm pretty awesome now. Can't I do it now? No, I'm still far from it. Then forget it. Chen Zhao wasn't too surprised by Zhang Tianyi's answer. When he got home, he already missed dinner. Of course, he still kept his portion. After dinner, Chen Zhao called Princess over. Princess, look at this. Princess's IQ was about the same as a 10-year-old. But with her knowledge, she was still confused about elemental fruits. Princess reached out with her paw to take the fruit. To it, since Chen Zhao had placed the elemental fruit in front of it, it must be for it to eat. Chen Zhao didn't stop her. He watched as Princess stuffed the fruit into her mouth. The fruit was the size of a fist, but before Princess, who was the size of a small truck, it was nothing. Princess, do you feel anything? Princess sat on the ground and rubbed her stomach. Then she looked at Chen Zhao in confusion. Had she not digested it yet? Chen Zhao was confused. Princess didn't change at all. Chen Zhao waited for a while and asked, still nothing. Chapter 2018. Was it fake? Or did something happen, but Princess didn't feel it? Chen Zhao started to think about it again. But on second thought, when Princess obtained the power to tear the earth, she knew how to use it directly. It was like instinct. If there was some change this time, she should notice and understand it directly. Whatever, if there was no change, then there was no change. Chen Zhao was still a little disappointed. Of course, he wasn't disappointed in Princess. Fei Lai, I'm going to cultivate. I'll be back later, Chen Zhao said to Fei Lai, who was playing with the children in the living room. Don't shoot down the government plane again. Last time, Chen Zhao had shot down an Air Force plane. It was reported on the news the next day, but the military explained that there was a mistake during training, which caused the plane to crash. Chen Zhao and Fei Lai had been watching the news and happened to see the news. Chen Zhao had said casually, "Isn't that the plane I shot down last night?" Then Fei Lai knew what Chen Zhao had done. "Chen, if you really want to shoot it down, bring the wreckage back. Then fix the shell and put it in the yard for the children to play with." Chen Zhao patted Princess' head beside him. He appeared half a meter away instantly. But at that moment, Princess actually appeared beside him. Chen Zhao was stunned. The moment Princess appeared, her huge body fell down. The Princess was waving her limbs and howling non-stop. Chen Zhao hurriedly pulled her back. "Princess, why are you here?" Chen Zhao put Princess back on the ground. He looked at Princess in confusion. With his speed, even if Princess could really fly, she couldn't catch up to him, right? Unless... Chen Zhao looked at the Princess again. Unless she could teleport. Chen Zhao took out a ball and tossed it in his hand. "Princess, catch." With that, he tossed the ball over the cliff. Princess wasn't a dog, but her personality was similar to one. She also liked to play with her family. The Princess moved again and instantly disappeared from where she was standing. The next moment, she appeared in the air, opening her mouth to catch the ball. However, it had miscalculated, and the ball still flew out of its bite range. Roar! Princess fell from the sky, roaring. Chen Zhao caught Princess again. Although teleportation had brought miraculous things to the Princess, it had also put her in danger. It still couldn't control this ability well. Once it teleported into the air and didn't use it continuously, it would directly fall from the sky and bring about great damage. "Princess, can you jump continuously?" Princess tilted her head and looked at Chen Zhao, as if he found it hard to understand. Chen Zhao scratched his head. How should he explain this? Chen Zhao thought for a moment. His body flashed and he appeared dozens of meters away as fast as he could. "Come, Princess." Princess also flashed and appeared beside Chen Zhao. But this time, he didn't go to pick up the Princess. Instead, he flashed again and appeared dozens of meters away. Looking at the falling Princess, he called out, "Come, Princess, come here." In her panic, the Princess flashed again and appeared beside Chen Zhao. Good job. Continue." Chen Zhao still didn't pick up Princess. He kept moving forward. The Princess began to get used to the process and rhythm. About 10 minutes later, the Princess had already teleported 200 times. She was starting to get tired. Chen Zhao could clearly feel her exhaustion. It seemed that she couldn't teleport infinitely. Princess returned to the ground and started to recover quickly. Chen Zhao realized that she could absorb large amounts of spiritual qi from the ground. Soon, she recovered her energy. After familiarizing herself with her ability, she started to enjoy it. She was very excited. Although the ability couldn't be used for long-distance travel, it was enough for Princess. At least, she really liked this new ability. Just then, Zhang Tianyi called again. Chen Zhao felt that Zhang Tianyi was just bored and called to argue with him. First, he said that Chen Zhao was too ruthless and that his disciple couldn't get out of bed for a year. Chen Zhao didn't believe it. He was a doctor. He knew how to make people lie in bed without losing half their bodies. To put it bluntly, Zhang Tianyi just wanted to get some benefits from Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao wouldn't go along with Zhang Tianyi. Chen Zhao still wanted to get some benefits from him. Just as Chen Zhao finished chatting with Zhang Tianyi, another call came from an unknown number. Hello, are you Mr. Chen? I am. Who is this? Why can't I get through to you? It's busy. Sorry, I was talking to a friend. May I know who you are? I was introduced by Mr. Lila Gavich. He said you're looking for a witch. Huh? Chen Zhao immediately answered. You know why I'm looking for a witch, right? I know. You're looking for Treasure Island, right? Since you know, can you take me to Treasure Island? Chen Zhao asked back. Do you know what price I have to pay to find it? The witch on the other end asked. I don't know. Tell me your conditions. It's fine as long as they're suitable. In history, a total of 3 witches led the way for pirates or adventurers. They found the legendary Treasure Island, and they all lost their lives. After a moment of silence, Chen Zhao said, So, do you reject or accept? I need a piece of demonic gold, an extremely powerful evil spirit, a gray eye, and $10 million. I don't have a problem with the $10 million you want, but your first 3 conditions put me in a difficult position. Is there demon gold in this world? Also, the extremely powerful evil spirit that you mentioned, what kind of powerful is it? And the gray eye, what's that? Actually, Chen Zhao had demonic gold. To Chen Zhao, demonic gold was the most useless thing. At the very least, Chen Zhao could go to hell and get as much as he wanted. The second condition was an extremely powerful evil spirit. This was a very general explanation. What did extremely powerful mean? Was it extremely powerful in the eyes of this witch or in his eyes? Moreover, what Chen Zhao didn't understand the most was the gray eye. He'd never heard of it before. Demonic gold exists in this world. As for how you get it, that's your problem. The extremely powerful evil spirit I mentioned has to be at least a disaster level. Chapter 2019. What's the disaster level? Chen Zhao often heard people call it a disaster level. However, there wasn't an exact number for it. It was just a concept. Chen Zhao had even killed a guy who called himself a disaster level. In reality, although the guy was bad, he was far from a disaster level. He was only slightly stronger than militants and his targets were mostly ordinary people. People like that definitely couldn't reach the true disaster level. Plus, he had to be an evil spirit. Where could Chen Zhao find a disaster-level evil spirit? Pamela was a banshee now, so she should be one. But Chen Zhao couldn't hand Pamela over, right? There are 3 in China, Mount Tai Ghost King, Mount Man Ghost King, and Tiandu Ghost King. There are 2 in Europe, Princess Spirit and Nether Wanderer. Africa has a Cursed Spirit. It's the only known disaster-level evil spirit in the world, the witch said. The witch said, you just have to destroy any one of these and then use the soul container to collect their soul fragments. The witch paused and said, "There is also the ashen eye. Among ordinary humans, there is a kind of eye that can see ghosts. It is called the yin-yang eye. On the contrary, there is the ashen eye. Some souls that wander the world can see things called shadow monsters. This kind of soul has the ashen eye." "Your requests are getting more and more ridiculous," Chen Zhao said gloomily. The first and fourth requests were a piece of cake for him. If Chen Zhao needed demon gold, he could use it to build a castle. Chen Zhao's money was almost enough for him to build a house. However, the second and third requests were really making things difficult for him. "Madam, I can pay you more and remove those difficult conditions. How about that?" "Mr. Chen, you have to understand that the price I have to pay to help you find the treasure island is my life. Compared to my life, I don't think my request is too much." After saying that, the witch hung up the phone. "Buddhist duo, are you looking for help again?" "I'm done, but I don't have much hope." Buddha duo looked at his sister who had just entered the room. "Asin duo, how's the investigation going?" "The three ghost kings of Huaxia are impossible. Not only do the three ghost kings possess terrifying power, but they also have an army of evil spirits. Their territory is the land of the dead. The living have to take great risks to even enter their territory, let alone kill them. Moreover, they have certain connections with the Huaxia government and the Huaxia supernatural world. If we attack them, it will be no different from suicide." Jacinder's face was extremely gloomy. Obviously, this was not an outcome that they could accept. What about the soul of the European princess and the wanderer of the netherworld? Is it possible? The princess's spirit has always been regarded as the holy spirit of the royal family. To harm the princess's spirit, one must first face the British government and the royal family. The difficulty is not much lower than the three ghost kings of Huaxia. Azinduo shook her head. "As for the wanderer of the nether, it is said that no one has ever been able to find him. He will only appear when he wishes to appear in front of others." Then, when he appeared, were there any signs? Or a pattern? There are no patterns or signs at all. He seems to appear at random. What about the one in Africa? Is it possible? The situation in Africa is very complicated right now. Various unnatural forces and the Nature Guardian Alliance are fighting, but the spirit of Juan has never appeared. There are even some rumors in the cult that it leads. It's hard to tell whether it's true or not. Azinduo looked at her sister. "There are many Buddhists. Even if we can find any one of them, even if we have divine gear, it will be very difficult. I think we should find outsiders. I'm also looking, but the few people I contacted, after I explained my request, almost all of them called me a lunatic. Although the one I contacted just now didn't call me a lunatic, he also responded with a very shocked attitude." Africa. Chen Zhao pondered. Chen Zhao remembered that when West reported to him 2 days ago, he had said that they were going to deal with the spirit of Juan. Just then, Fei Lai said, "Chen, I'm going to sleep. Aren't you going to cultivate today? You go first." "I'll make a call first." Chen Zhao called West. "West, did anything happen today?" "We found the spirit of Juan's nest. We've been preparing for the past 2 days. Tomorrow, we plan to sneak into the nest and end this war." "Oh, do you need my help?" "No, we can do it." "Okay. Be careful." Chen Zhao's mind raced. The spirit of Juan. The spirit of Juan that West wanted to deal with matched the witch's description. However, Chen Zhao didn't ask too much in case West became suspicious. If he didn't ask, he wouldn't know where the nest was. It seemed that he should find some time to go to Africa. When Chen Zhao returned to his room, Fei Lai had already changed into her new clothes. Chen Zhao felt all the blood in his body expand. He went up and rubbed Feilai. Don't change. You have to take it off anyway. Chen Zhao and Feilai always liked to play with different styles. It helped stabilize and maintain their relationship. In Feilai's cloakroom, there was a compartment for all kinds of sexy clothes. Chen Zhao liked this kind of game and never got tired of it. Sometimes, they could play for an entire night. Chen Zhao's hand groped around naughtily. What are you acting today? I'm the judge. You're my prisoner. Chen Zhao, I want to play your game too. I think you humans call this role-playing. Belial's voice always appeared at inappropriate times. However, everyone got used to it. Chen Zhao was no exception. Now, Chen Zhao was used to playing with Feilai while communicating with Belial in his mind. Of course, most of their interactions were bare-chested. My queen, I want to ask you something. Chen Zhao was exercising with all his might. What do you want to ask? Do you know about the gray eye? Yes. Tell me. Satisfy me first. I don't like to talk about other things when I'm doing business. Chen Zhao was speechless. Are you confusing business with other people's business? Chapter 2020. You can tell me now, right? Chen Zhao had spent a lot of effort to feed Belial. Gray eyes is actually a type of demon bloodline, but people with this bloodline are usually hidden. Only after death and the soul leaves the body will the power of the bloodline appear. Demon. But I heard that people with gray eyes can see shadow monsters. What's going on? Do you know the meaning of gray eyes' existence? Belial asked. I don't. What's the meaning of gray eyes' existence? Existence was existence. What meaning was there? Did you have to say that existence was reasonable? If it was according to this point of view, it would be impossible to make sense of anything. The true master of the Ashen Eyes is a demon called Desolation. Desolation is a demon created by the Demon King, the King of Gluttony. Then they should be subordinates of the King of Gluttony. No, the King of Gluttony created them to eat, Yi Zichen said. Eat? You mean the King of Gluttony wants to eat them? No. Belial shook his head. Belial shook his head. In hell, the most famous gourmet would be the King of Gluttony, Beelzebub. He's eaten everything, including a secondary demon king. Chen Zhao's face twitched. He glanced at Belial. Do you call that a gourmet? Don't get caught up in my description, Belial said coolly. But that's just Beelzebub's personality. To him, there's nothing he can't eat. But one day, one of his subordinates told him that there's something he hasn't eaten before. Chen Zhao looked up at Belial. Clearly, the main point was coming. That demon subordinate of Beelzebub accidentally entered an alternate dimension and devoured some of the creatures there, Belial said calmly. Belia said calmly, then Beelzebub remembered it. He tried to find that alternate space, but to no avail. Later, he thought of a way. Based on that subordinate demon's description, he created the Withered Tribe. The Withered Tribe has the ability to lock onto that alternate space. Then, Beelzebub successfully found that alternate space through the Withered Tribe's ability. And then, Beelzebub swallowed half of the alternate dimension. Half of the shadow monster you were talking about also died. Beelzebub swallowed them all. Chen Zhao shuddered. The King of Hell was unimaginably scary. To create a race for food. And in order to eat, it directly devoured half of the space. How big is that alternate dimension? Probably a few times bigger than the human world. Chen Zhao's jaw dropped. It was several times bigger than the human world, but Beelzebub had swallowed half of it. Just how big was the King of Gluttony? Of course it's not that exaggerated. Although it's big, it's not as big as you think it is. However, this is its ability. If it thinks it's necessary, it can swallow the entire alternate dimension. The reason why it didn't do that is because it thinks that the shadow monsters in the alternate dimension taste good. It hopes that they can restore their numbers and eat them again. How much time did he spend? About 1,000 years ago. Chen Zhao didn't dare to imagine if this guy set his eyes on Earth and humans. Would he do the same thing? For a bite of food, he worked hard for 1,000 years and even created a race. Chen Zhao didn't know that he wasn't a gourmet, but he definitely deserved the title of top foodie. Are you thinking that Beelzebub will target humans? I can't help but worry, especially after hearing your story. The mortal world is the main world. The laws of the world are very complete. It's impossible for Beelzebub to go over. Plus, humans aren't rare. At least for us demons, there will always be humans who believe in us who will sacrifice their own kind to us. So, to us, it's not too difficult to eat humans whenever we want. Isn't it inappropriate to talk about eating humans in front of humans? You're the one who wanted to talk about this. Fine, let's change the topic. Don't you want to know the follow-up story? There's a follow-up story. More accurately, it's not a story, Belia said. Beelzebub created the desolation with humans as the blueprint, so the desolation is very similar to humans in all aspects. As a promise with the king of gluttony, the desolation returned to the human world as it wished. The king of gluttony's conditions were also very clear. He could let them return to the human world, but the next time he wanted to eat them, the desolation would still have to sacrifice its power. However, the remaining shadow monsters from the alternate space hated the desolation because of the king of gluttony. It's an unforgettable hatred. Shouldn't the person they should hate the most be the king of gluttony? They also hate, but what can they do against the king of gluttony? They can't do anything. No matter how angry they are, they can't affect the king of gluttony at all. The king of gluttony's power is not something they can resist, so they can only target their hatred on the desolation race. Belia paused before continuing. Although Beelzebub is the demon king of hell, he's still very trustworthy. He used a lot of effort to send the desolation race back to the human world, but when they returned, they found themselves facing the revenge of the shadow monsters. A large number of the desolation race were slaughtered. This is karma for attracting the king of hell. However, the shadow monsters are creatures from the alternate space after all, so the desolation race was able to breathe in the end. They were not completely wiped out. After that, they mixed their blood with humans to continue the desolation race's legacy. The shadow monsters never gave up on killing the descendants of the desolation race. They seemed to be able to lock onto the descendants of the desolation race, then trick them into the alternate space and kill them. Speaking of which, after Beelzebub heard this news, he was very regretful. He shouldn't have sent the desolation race to the human world. However, he could send the desolation race to the human world, but he could not bring them back to hell. He did not even have the ability to protect them. But if the king of gluttony can create one desolation race, he can create a second one, right? There doesn't seem to be much meaning for the shadow monsters to hunt down the descendants of the desolation race. As long as Beelzebub, the king of gluttony, still exists, the shadow monsters will never be able to escape the tragic fate of being shrouded by the demon king of hell. Chapter 2021. That's not the case, Belia said. Belia said, even if he was the king of gluttony, he couldn't just casually create a race. He wasn't a god. For him, creating the withered tribe was his greatest achievement. He couldn't create another one. At least, it would be very difficult, because creating a whole new race is not easy even for kings of hell like me and him. So you're saying that if the lonely race is wiped out, the shadow monsters have a high chance of escaping the king of gluttony's threat? Indeed. Are the lonely race really that rare now? Unless the Withered Desolation clan is dragged into an alternate dimension and killed by the shadow monsters, they will always be reincarnated. Their bloodline is not in the body, but in the soul. Because of this, the inheritance of their clan's bloodline is so troublesome. If they really reproduce through sexual intercourse like ordinary humans, even the shadow monsters cannot kill them all. Then how do they produce offspring? Chen Zhao asked curiously. The process is very troublesome. You won't understand even if I tell you. So you don't have the gray eye? No. Only the king of gluttony might have it. Of course, even I can't be sure. Should he contact the king of gluttony? Chen Zhao sank into deep thought. Chen Zhao wasn't afraid of facing the king of gluttony. After all, even if he did, he would only say that it was a projection of the king of gluttony, like Samuel. Moreover, it would only be his familiar and wouldn't be a threat to him. Chen Zhao was basically familiar with how to communicate with the demons he wanted to communicate with. However, he could only confirm a certain category. For example, if Chen Zhao wanted to communicate with gluttony, he might only communicate with a subordinate, not the king of gluttony. Usually, the stronger one was, the stronger the desire when communicating would be. Then, the more advanced and powerful the demon that represented the desire would be. However, there was no accurate value for desire. So, Chen Zhao wasn't sure if he could contact the king of gluttony. Also, Chen Zhao was probably the only person in the world who would do something so crazy to contact the king of hell for a gray eye. Chen Zhao decided to solve other problems first. For example, a disaster-level evil spirit. At the moment, Chen Zhao was more inclined to be the cursed spirit that had appeared in Africa. However, Chen Zhao was troubled as to how to do it. After all, he had no idea where the spirit of cursing was hiding. Chen Zhao thought for a long time and decided to go to Africa tomorrow. Some people say that if you want to know whether a person is evil, just look at what he did in Africa. Some people go to Africa as volunteers to protect nature. Others, on the other hand, went to Africa to hunt for fun. This kind of hunting was not for survival, nor was it to solve the problem of food and clothing. Without any grudges, he wanted to prove his strength and courage with a hunting rifle in his hand. On the other hand, it was purely for the thrill of killing. Chen Zhao couldn't understand where this pleasure came from. Was it to show that humans were superior to these animals? Or was it nature, where the strong preyed on the weak? If they wanted to show off their courage and strength, it would be better to go into battle bare-chested. If they really dared to go bare-chested, Chen Zhao would applaud them. The next day, Chen Zhao appeared on the grassland. It was only 100 kilometers away from West's gathering point. Chen Zhao considered walking around the area. He wanted to see if he could find anything. Other than the 3 polar regions, there was almost no better starry sky than here. Of course, if it was just 1 or 2 nights, it would be a great pleasure. But humans in this era were used to the convenience brought by technology. For example, Chen Zhao said so. Many people said that the bad habits of humans pushed the progress of civilization forward. A male lion appeared before Chen Zhao. It wasn't a happy meeting. Usually, even lions, the top predators on the African grassland, wouldn't leave their prides easily. Because the night was equally dangerous for them. If they encountered a pack of hyenas, they would be in trouble too. Hyenas were wild beasts that even lions dared to provoke. Moreover, the lions only hunted female lions. Most of the time, lions were only responsible for mating. Even though they were apex predators, they were rarely in charge of hunting. It seemed like a good position. Actually, lions did physical work too. For one, they had to be busy for their low fertility. Dozens of times a day was normal. There was once a researcher who recorded that the machine was used 200 times a day. Even Chen Zhao was shocked by this. But a lion's position wasn't completely stable. They would be challenged by other lions. Especially the young ones who had their own offspring. When young lions became adults, they would either snatch their father's authority in the pride, or they would be chased out of the pride. The young lion before Chen Zhao was chased out of the pride. Without the cooperation of the pride, its food became scarce. Although lions were apex predators, their greatest advantage was their strong physique and the apex strength of the African savanna. Speed was not their advantage. But the animals that lived on the grassland and were on the lion's menu either ran faster or outnumbered them. This caused the lone lion to be in an awkward situation. The hungry lion was so hungry that it couldn't be choosy. Even though Chen Zhao maintained a dangerous aura. But the young lion still wanted to find some confidence from Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao thought for a while and tossed a piece of meat to the young kid. The lion sniffed. It didn't seem dangerous. It was in great need of food now. As for challenging this fellow who was full of danger, the lion's simple mind was still very clear about it. So, it decided to eat the food Chen Zhao stole. It didn't want to find confidence from Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao wasn't sure what the meat Chen Zhao tossed to the lion was. But it was definitely edible. Anyway, it was Chen Zhao's prey. The lion tore at the meat Chen Zhao tossed to it with big mouthfuls. The meat was very big, enough for it to have a full meal. It was its first full meal in 3 days. When it met Chen Zhao, it was prepared to fight to the death. To it, if it didn't eat today, it would face the threat of death. Fortunately, it had encountered Chen Zhao and not other people or predators. Chapter 2022. 20 minutes later, the young male lion had eaten about 50 kilograms of meat. This was probably the most satisfying meal of its life. Chen Zhao sat on a protruding rock and watched the lion. Pet owners all knew that watching their pets eat when they were feeding was actually a kind of enjoyment. This was an interaction between the owner and the pet. Chen Zhao didn't plan on bringing it back. It was mainly because it was already an adult. There were 2 cubs at home, Simba and Nana. If he really brought the lion back, Simba might be killed by it in the future. This was decided by their social form. It wasn't because they were evil or anything else. All Chen Zhao could do was feed it. I have to go back to work. I hope you can become the king of this grassland. Chen Zhao patted the lion lightly. The lion looked up at Chen Zhao's back. Chen Zhao didn't want to interact with it too much. Most of the time, volunteers on the African savanna would not come into contact with animals. Even if they needed to study animals, they would keep their distance most of the time. The problem with interacting with animals was that animals had a simple way of thinking. They felt that volunteers were good people, so they had the same attitude toward all humans. But not all the humans who came here were good people. If there were volunteers, there would be poachers. In the previous century, a volunteer had saved an African elephant. Because of this, he had many interactions with the elephant. Elephants are highly intelligent creatures. They are animals that know how to be grateful. So, the rescued elephant mistakenly thought that it could interact with humans. In the end, it was killed by poachers. This was the cruel truth. It was killed by a human it liked. This was not a single case. There were many precedents in the world. Among the most evil crimes that humans considered, poaching was the only one that didn't target humans. The others were drug trafficking, organ smuggling, and human trafficking. Poaching was a crime against animals, but it was more often a massacre and murder. Chen Zhao also didn't want to interact with the lion because of him. He wanted it to think that humans were all trustworthy. This was why Chen Zhao didn't interact with it too much. The lion chased after Chen Zhao. Suddenly, Chen Zhao emitted a strong aura of danger. The male lion's hair stood on end. It turned around and ran away. If this could make it develop the habit of hiding when it saw humans in the future. Chen Zhao's efforts didn't go to waste. Suddenly, a figure appeared before him. He was a big man wearing a vest, but his body exuded a majestic aura. Poacher. The big guy stared at Chen Zhao coldly. This big fellow was Malone. But he soon realized that Chen Zhao wasn't a poacher. After all, he didn't bring any equipment. Chen Zhao's clothes were even a little too casual. This gave Malone the wrong impression. This fellow was not walking at night on the dangerous African savanna, but taking a stroll in his own back garden. This guy was definitely not an ordinary person. While Marlin was studying Chen Zhao was also studying Marlin. They were judging each other based on their own habits and experiences. Unfortunately, they both treated each other as cultists. Chen Zhao saw red lines on Marlin's arms and body. These patterns were very similar to the Satanism he had encountered in the past. They borrowed the power of demons through similar patterns. Malone had a similar pattern on his body as well. Although they were slightly different, Chen Zhao felt that they were magic runes of the same type. Although there were slight differences, Chen Zhao felt that they were magic runes of the same type. Because of this, Chen Zhao thought that Marlin was a cultist. Apart from Chen Zhao's clothes, Marlin also thought that Chen Zhao was a cultist. It was also because Chen Zhao's eyes were shining and he was definitely not one of the spiritualists in the settlement. Among the spiritualists in the settlement, black-haired and black-eyed Asians were easier to remember. Without thinking, Chen Zhao turned and ran. Of course, Marlin chased after him. After Chen Zhao turned and ran, he was even more certain of Chen Zhao's identity. He was definitely a cultist. Marlin must have discovered Chen Zhao's identity, which was why he panicked and lost his composure. Stop! Marlin suddenly pushed Chen Zhao to the ground. Right now, Chen Zhao looked very panicked. He raised his hand and aimed it at Marlin. An electric arc shot out from his palm. The electric arc struck Malone, but Malone only shuddered slightly. By now, he was completely sure that Chen Zhao was a cultist. Although there were quite a number of spiritualists in this gathering area, there were still quite a few of them. But none of them used thunder magic. Marlin raised his fist and punched Chen Zhao's face. Chen Zhao had to act like he was in pain. Then Marlin lifted the defenseless Chen Zhao up. This was also the first time someone had lifted Chen Zhao up. If you dare to attack me again, I'll break your limbs. No, I won't dare. Don't kill me, right now. Chen Zhao was like a drama queen. His entire body was acting. Right now, Chen Zhao felt like a cowardly spiritualist. Marlin didn't notice anything. He seemed to really think that Chen Zhao had surrendered. But at this moment, a chill came from the shadows without warning. Marlin felt the sneak attack. But he didn't dodge. Instead, he took the attack head-on. I knew that you cowards would have an ambush, Marlin snorted. Ambush? Chen Zhao was confused. Who was this third party that had suddenly appeared? Was it the group of managers that West had mentioned before? The sneak attack on Marlin was a black arrow. The black arrow hit Marlin's chest. It went in slightly. It only pierced the skin a little. Didn't you ask about my strength before ambushing me? Marlon snorted. Chen Zhao wanted to stand up, but Marlon stomped him back to the ground. This was the most embarrassing moment Chen Zhao had ever been in his career. Don't move, or else I'll stomp your head into pieces. With his face on the ground, Chen Zhao looked at the black arrow that had failed his sneak attack. Chen Zhao smelled a pungent smell from the arrow. It was poisoned. Just then, a dozen or so people suddenly rushed out. Chen Zhao could see clearly that they weren't good people. They gave off an aura that Chen Zhao didn't like. Were they the cultists? Chen Zhao was confused, but he wasn't completely sure. He seemed to have gotten something wrong. Marlon seemed more like a good person, but the people who had ambushed him gave off a familiar aura. Chapter 2023. However, it didn't matter whether Marin was a good or bad person or whether they were cultists. His attitude was clear. He would pretend to be weak today. Marin's aura was strong and his combat ability was off the charts. Every move was filled with violence. Chen Zhao saw his own shadow in Marlon. Their fighting styles were too similar. These cultists were here to die. Moreover, they were indeed determined to die. They knew that their job was to be cannon fodder. Moreover, they had done their jobs very dutifully. Marin tore the dozen cultists apart. The entire process was very easy. However, just then, Marin suddenly realized that the small wound on his chest was starting to turn black. It was just a small wound that had been infected by the poison. Now, the black poison had spread to a palm-sized area. Marin tried to force the poison out of his body. The black poison was being expelled bit by bit. But just then, the second wave of attacks came. Marin had to give up on forcing the poison out and fight again. However, the second wave of attacks was much fiercer than the first. Marin finally realized that something was wrong. He seemed to be affected by the black poison. His power was flowing out rapidly. Even though he had borrowed the power of the Nature Guardian, his power was still flowing out. This trap was too targeted at him. It wasn't that Marin hadn't faced danger in the past, but he could resolve it with his power every time. However, the trap this time was different from the past. This trap made it impossible for him to maintain his peak condition. The black poison wasn't a vicious poison. Instead, it was a poison that could drain one's power continuously. If it was a normal poison, Marin could use the power of the Nature Guardian to get rid of it. After all, the Nature Guardian was a poisonous dragon. There was almost no poison in the world that could threaten it. But almost didn't mean that there was none. And this poison was the perfect counter to Marin. What made Marin panic the most was that his body instinctively borrowed more of the Nature Guardian's power. Because this was his contract with the Nature Guardian. When Marin started borrowing the Nature Guardian's power, the Nature Guardian's power would allow Marin to recover to his peak condition no matter what. But because of the poison, Marin's body was always weak. As the battle progressed, the poison spread throughout his body and he grew weaker and weaker. The amount of power he needed to borrow also increased. His body was like a bottomless pit. He was constantly borrowing the power of the Nature Guardian. At this moment, Malone finally realized something. This trap wasn't just for him. It was targeted at the Guardians of Nature. If he was given a stable environment, he could completely expel the black poison from his body. But now, he couldn't calm down at all. The cultists surrounding him didn't give him any time to rest. Moreover, he did not intend to kill him directly. They wanted to use this method to torture Malone. At the same time, it would weaken the Nature Guardian. Oh no! Malone's in trouble. Terry Boyle suddenly knelt on the ground weakly. West hurriedly helped Terry up. "What's wrong?" "I have a contract with Malone. This contract allows us to sense each other's condition." Terry Boyle's face was very pale. "Malone is constantly borrowing my power. Under normal circumstances, he would have exploded from my power, but that didn't happen. I can feel his anxiety and fear. We can't wait any longer. We have to save Terry Boyle as soon as possible. But that's not part of our plan." West frowned. "I have no other choice." Terry Boyle's face was very pale. West and the others had never seen Terry Boyd in such a weak state. "Do you know where he is?" "Lord, I do. They seem to be heading in that direction." "That direction? That direction seems to be the nest of the cursed spirits," West said solemnly. "It looks like they are prepared. Under normal circumstances, we should just wait and see." Of course, this was the best choice on a tactical level. But Terry Boyle and Marlon had a deep relationship. Aside from their contract, Malone was also Terry Boyle's adopted son. Therefore, it was impossible for Terry Boyle to turn a blind eye to the danger Marlon was in. They had also made a deal with Terry Boyd. "If you think it's dangerous, forget it. I'll take care of it myself." "All right, stop talking," West said. "I'll inform the others. We'll leave in half an hour." "West, you don't have to pity me. Don't be bound by the contract. I'm the one who wants to take the risk this time. It's not within our contract. Even if you ignore it, I have nothing to say. I won't blame you. You're saying that on purpose, aren't you? You're making it harder for us to watch." West rolled his eyes at Terry. Gaia said, "All right, no matter what danger it is, we don't care. Plus, we're looking forward to the challenge and danger. If we really encounter something we can't handle, we'll call our president," West said. "Before that, let's set up a signal circuit in case the signal is blocked when we enter the cursed spirit's nest." Signal circuit was a military term. It was usually used in areas where the signal was blocked. Through a simple circuit, a signal could be sent back through a wired method. Then, communication could be achieved. Of course, this kind of signal circuit could only be used in a small area. After all, they couldn't carry too many large devices in a single operation. West gathered everyone in front of him and explained the situation to them. "After being stubborn for so long, you've finally faced reality and are ready to compromise," Harold said calmly. "We can't just stand by and do nothing about Terry's situation. However, this operation is extremely risky, so we must be fully prepared." West didn't want to ask Qin Zhao for help either, but sometimes, stubbornness couldn't guarantee his and his companion's safety. In hot-blooded comics, people relied on their strong willpower and stubbornness to defeat their enemies. But in reality, it was almost impossible for that to happen. Their enemies couldn't just injure them, and they couldn't stand up again and again. Chapter 2024. Right now, Chen Zhao was sitting in the open-air compartment of a small truck. There were 3 cultists with him. Of course, there was also Malone, who was tied up tightly with magic ropes. Even so, Malone was so weak that he couldn't stand up. The black poison had already weakened him to the minimum. "Fellow cultists." A cultist patted Chen Zhao's shoulder. "Good job. If you didn't attract that guy's attention, our ambush wouldn't have succeeded. Unfortunately, my companions have all died." Chen Zhao cried silently. Chen Zhao worshipped his acting skills like crazy. The tears came out of nowhere. "No, they've just returned to God's embrace," the cultist beside him said. It was great to have a bunch of cultists who didn't know him. Fortunately, Malone thought that Chen Zhao was a cultist, so the other cultists also thought that Chen Zhao was their companion. They thought that the suicide team had decided on their own. Chen Zhao would attract Malone's attention first and then ambush them. They even blamed Chen Zhao for Malone's poisoning. After all, the suicide team was dead. Chen Zhao was the only one left. No one would testify against him. Plus, Chen Zhao did deserve a lot of credit for their success this time. At least, that was what Chen Zhao thought too. Even so, the trap this time still cost the lives of at least 30 cultists. Even though Ma Long was poisoned, he still managed to kill more than 30 people. Even now, Chen Zhao still didn't know which god they believed in. Of course, this wasn't important. But Chen Zhao didn't want to expose himself. There were 2 small trucks in front and behind. They drove into a valley. There was no light at the bottom of the valley. A river about 10 meters wide flowed in the valley. However, the river seemed to have been completely polluted. Even so, there were still living things in the polluted river. However, the creatures that could survive in this magically polluted river were all twisted creatures. This was definitely a nightmare for ordinary people. Due to the terrain and the magic array, this place was completely isolated from the rest of the world. Even Chen Zhao's small world was blocked. When Chen Zhao was outside, he couldn't sense the situation in the valley at all. After entering, he couldn't sense the outside either. This place gave Chen Zhao a rather uncomfortable feeling. Malone's reaction was even more intense, and he began to vomit. The truck stopped. Chen Zhao and the cultist got off. Chen Zhao dragged Marlin out of the car. "Sir, I bet you didn't expect our identities to be swapped like this." Marlin was in a sorry state, but he still gritted his teeth and looked up at Chen Zhao. "Do you think you've won? Facts speak louder than words, don't they?" Chen Zhao didn't plan to attack directly. The black poison these cultists used seemed to be very troublesome. Although he was immune to all poisons, he wasn't sure if this black poison would work on him. This was because some magical poisons were not necessarily classified as poisons. Therefore, he felt that he should be more cautious and find the antidote first. "Give him to me." A cultist took Malone from Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao even waved enthusiastically and said goodbye to Marlin. When Marlin looked at Chen Zhao, his eyes were practically shooting out flames. The entrance was on a mountain wall. The entrance led to the lair of the vengeful spirit, which was underground. Chen Zhao walked along the tunnel and realized that it wasn't very stuffy here. In fact, it felt a bit cold. Rough tools had been used to chisel the path. It wasn't as smooth or bright as the bases or labs Chen Zhao had been to in the past. There were torches along the way, but there were always some shadows of potholes. There were many snakes here. They hid in the shadows. Occasionally, they would make hissing sounds. When Chen Zhao entered the lair of the cursed spirit, he saw a hill made of skulls. From top to bottom, the hill was piled up like a pyramid. There were probably millions of skulls here. Even though Chen Zhao had seen many big scenes, he was still shocked by this super view. However, these skulls were from different ages. Some were brand new, while others were very old and black. "Don't stare for too long. Death will swallow you, newbie." Chen Zhao seemed to be really entranced. He didn't even know when someone had come to him. It was a white-haired old man. He wasn't black, but his skin was very dark as if he'd been exposed to the sun. Chen Zhao could feel a surging vitality in him, but it was very strange. He probably had some kind of ability that allowed him to absorb vitality from others. However, this vitality didn't belong to him. He had to use his own magic to suppress the life that he'd stolen. Chen Zhao had seen quite a few of these evil spells. The old man's methods weren't very clever, but they were very despicable. However, he had to admit that this kind of spell was very powerful. It was like a robber robbing a bank. The money couldn't be used normally, but there would always be unorthodox ways for the robber to squander it. You have no respect for death. You're not devout. The old man looked at Chen Zhao. Had he been seen through? Chen Zhao was secretly on guard, planning to attack. Those who join us are not pure believers. We don't reject believers who have other motives. As long as you can show your value, money, women, power, or even power, you can get whatever you want. But if you are worthless, then you will become a sacrifice. I just did a good deed, sir. Chen Zhao lowered his head, appearing very humble. I hope to be rewarded. Oh. Tell me about your deed. We captured Marone and successfully poisoned him. Our plan succeeded. I didn't do anything in the battle, but Marone was poisoned. I'm the biggest contributor. Oh. Marone's already been captured. Good, very good. Ha! The old man laughed. You did well. You deserve a reward. What do you want? Chen Zhao licked his lips, looking very greedy. Everything. Be it power, money, or women, I want it all. Chen Zhao felt that the more greedy he was, the more difficult it would be to expose himself. Your deed is great, but it's not enough. Come with me to receive your reward. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.